acting in movies, he has made this entry. Do you see his career path being very similar to, say, someone like Pawan Kalyan, who has now emerged as a very strong figure in the neighboring state of Andhra Pradesh, but that too after many failures?
Yeah, good evening. First of all, a bit of a correction. I'm not a TVK supporter. I'm merely a senior journalist. But I wish him well. Like many others, a new aspirant in politics has come into play.
Yes.
And like many others, okay, everybody would like to wish him well and hope for the best. Now, the main thing about Vijay is he has done well, as you say, in the T20 parlance. He has begun well in the first power play. He's got off to a good start, but then he has got the rest of the innings to work on. So that's a different kettle of fish. He has already grabbed attention. He is now the center of attraction. And most television debates, the Tamil channels, are revolving around what is going to be TVK's strategy, who are going to be his alliance partners, if any, and what is going to be his stand. So there's plenty of buzz and traction about TVK, but he has got to capitalize on that. And he has got to move on from his fan base, whom is converting into a political party, and reach out to other sections. He has to come out with his stand on major issues in the state, whether political, social, or on education, industry, labor, or the role of public sector, private sector, and so on. He has to spell out his stand on many of these issues.
Right.
But the problem for him is he can't be old wine in old bottle. He has got to be fresh. At the same time, he's got to appear mature. He can't give unworkable ideas. He has to make a dent in politics. So it's a very tricky thing. It's like a tightrope walk. So whichever way you say, every word of his is being watched, every word is being analyzed, every moment of his is being captured on social media and discussed and analyzed, and there's a big postmortem on whatever he says and whatever he does. So he has got to be careful. At the same time, he has to appear new and offer something different to the political spectrum as compared to Vijay, yes, he got about 8 to 11% when he began. Kamal Hassan less, around 4%. Seeman is around 8%, but he's contesting all the seats. That's why his vote percentage is high. So many experts think that he may not cross the 5 to 8% barrier on his own, and he may need allies. But the important statement just made yesterday, that is his party spokesman, has clarified that there will be no alliance with the AIADMK. So there's a lot of buzz of whether AIADMK will align with TVK, but obviously, as I said in my last show on NDTV, that Vijay has not started his party to make someone else the chief minister. So obviously, he's
not going to be a kingmaker, he's going to be the king himself. Kalyan Raman.
Yes, why should he start a party to make someone else the king?
Absolutely. And the point that you said, that he will be forced to, in some ways, expected to work on workable ideas. We also have Kalyan Raman, senior leader of the BJP. We have Professor Sandeep Shastri, who is the national coordinator of the Lok Niti network. Thank you, both of you, also for joining me on this broadcast. Let me go to Kalyan Raman first. Sir, BJP in some ways has not been able to put up a strong counter that it was promising. But if you look at the vote share, it seems to have really increased. It has polled 18.27% of the votes in Lok Sabha elections of 2024. In some ways, it has dislodged the AIADMK from the second slot in 12 out of the 39 constituencies. How do you see the future of the BJP? Because clearly, in the cultural context, Vijay might be fitting in better, but the BJP is also a national party. Do you think that is a handicap for the party in Tamil Nadu, or do you see this growing? Do you see this as an advantage for the BJP in Tamil Nadu?
I take cue from Mr. Rangaraj, because he has very scientifically put it across that something different must be shown. To begin with, what is this something different, which is it is only ideology. BJP being a party which is driven by nationalism and cultural Bharat is the only alternative ideology available to this Dravidian ideology. As simple as that. What something different which I can show, I am yet to see. So let him emerge, let him show his metal. That is for something to see. Now, looking at what had happened in 2014 and 2024, we have scored over 18% consistently in both the Lok Sabha elections, barring 2019, in which we went into an alliance with JDMK. So, if there is no alliance, BJP is going to keep on improving on its value in terms of percentage. Now, the days to come are going to be the days of growth. Because we are ideologically driven and people are looking for an ideological difference. something the Dravidian parties have never been able to offer to the common.
Right. That's
So
very interesting. So the
BJP's
days
growth is
that are,
inevitable.
so the days for the BJP, the upcoming days for the BJP in Tamil Nadu, you say will mark growth. Professor Shastri, experts.
Indeed, yes.
Okay, experts say that Vijay's politics, is untested, and we may not really know how far he'll be consistent when it comes to critical issues. What kind of indications do you get from Vijay, considering he did speak out a bit on this in the Viluppuram rally of his, but in the neighboring state, Pawan Kalyan had to ally with a major party to actually come to power. Do you think Vijay will also need something like that?
3 points on this. One, yes, Vijay has made a splash, but let's remember he is not a third force in Tamil Nadu politics. There are already 3 forces in Tamil Nadu politics: the DMK-led alliance, the Anna DMK-led alliance, and the BJP-led alliance. There are already 3 alliances working in the politics of the state. And if Vijay emerges on his own, he will be a 4th formulation that you will have in the politics of the state. Let's also remember that he is trying to find a space for himself within the larger Dravidian politics. The BJP, on the other hand, as was said by their spokesperson just now, theirs is a Dravidian plus narrative where they are trying to bring in the national narrative also. So I think the important question would be, where would Vijay pitch his stand? What would be the uniqueness of what he was to offer in this fourfold competition that you are having in Tamil Nadu? His stand till now has very much been similar to the stand of the Dravidian parties. So is he looking at replacing one of the Dravidian alliances and coming forward? Would he need the support of an alliance to do that? I think these are early days to talk about it. But 2 things are clear. Number one, you have a 4th player attempting to get into the politics of the state. And secondly, this player is looking at carving a niche for himself and the forces that he represents as part of Dravidian politics. That, I think, are the 2 issues that need to be borne in mind when you look at the impact he's likely to have on the politics of the state.
So marked difference in the ideology is something that he will have to offer, because people will at the end of the day ask him what is the new thing that he's offering. The authenticity of ideas will matter here. Mr. Pullarao, the rising stature of Udaynidhi is also something that we have been noticing in the past few months. Is that something that is threatened by Vijay, considering that he's a popular star, and DMK also faces a lot of criticism when it comes to issues such as handling of the drugs issue, for that matter, law and order, because we also saw a spate of killings of certain people. So do you think that is one thing? Udaynidhi's stature is something that is threatened in some ways by Vijay's rise?
Every new entrant is a threat to the established order. But how much of a threat is it? Is he going to divide the votes of the opposition? That is, we have to see. Time will tell how Vijay is going to work out. And one thing I just heard our friends, Mr. Kalyan Raman and others, BJP, on afterthoughts, they just got through the election, 2024 parliament election, very narrowly, thanks to the alliance in Andhra Pradesh, where they got 21 out of 25 MPs. I don't think the BJP will do without an alliance in the future in Tamil Nadu. No doubt they worked hard, they got so many percent vote, but no, very few seats. They risked their entire government by not going for an alliance. So if you look at it, BJP all around the country, they're looking for allies, small parties, big parties, so that, they get traction. And in Tamil Nadu, you can take it from me that BJP will be a key player in finding an alliance. Will it be with Vijay or with AIADMK or with both? That is something that will work out. On the other hand, as we just reviewed, each time there's a challenge before the elections, parliament elections, the assembly elections, ever since Jayalalitha's death, it has been, ever since Jayalalitha's death, it's only the DMK which has been winning elections. The parliament elections, the assembly elections first, then the parliament elections, and before that, the 2019 parliament elections.
Right.
So that pattern will continue till there is a figure in the opposition with a great unifier or a single big figure like Jayalalitha. Udaynidhi's talent will have the advantage. That's what the figures tell me. That's what the statistics tell me. That's what the last 3 elections Tell me.
Right. Okay. Mr. Rankaraj, taking off from your own point, what kind of authenticity can we expect when it comes to Vijay's politics? He has made his stance, his positioning very clear when it comes to NEET or for that matter, those issues which are core to Dravidian politics. There's a Dravidian model of governance that Dravidian parties say is more important, more sort of efficient when it comes to reaching out to people. There's also welfare, which is an integral part of Tamil Nadu politics. What is the new thing that you think Vijay can come up with, which can actually get more voters on his side?
Well, the main thrust of his speech at the public rally was against corruption and also against family rule. But these subjects have already been dealt with right from Jayalalitha's days by way of criticism of the DMK. The problem for Vijay is he has positioned himself in the Dravidian mold, and he's trying to be one more player from the Dravidian platform. So that kind of limits himself to a certain agenda within the Dravidian spectrum. At the same time, he is not open out to BJP. Our friend was mentioning about the BJP possibly having an eye on him, because now that they could not get Rajinikanth on board, they may think maybe Vijay may be a good actor to be on their side, like Pawan Kalyan, as you mentioned in Andhra. But Vijay in his speech has also been critical of what he calls fundamentalism, though he has not directly named the BJP and Prime Minister Modi. So he has said he is against that kind of politics. So at the moment, it looks like he is not in the likely to move towards the BJP fold, and or nor with the AIADMK. So which means he is banking on a totally new front with some
I'm completely out of
parties.
time. Last word, Mr. Kalyan Raman, taking off from what Pulla Rao said, do you see the BJP and AIADMK coming together, given that the number of challenges is increasing and it is actually better for the parties to actually, find friends rather than be enemies?
Within BJP, I am considered to be a person who supports BJP ADMK alliance. And there are people within the party who have different opinions that we should go it alone. It is a matter to be decided by the central leadership. We will not have much a say in it. But then the party's interest will be taken into consideration in deciding an alliance factor.
Professor Shastri, your word on this, sir. Do you see the AIADMK and BJP coming together, given that the rise of Vijay and also Udayanidhi Stalin, all of this, do you think that these can be political aspects that could bring the AIADMK and BJP coming together, also BJP's own numbers nationally?
Given the last Lok Sabha election results, I think there is a distinct possibility that the BJP and the AIADMK could come together, because both require the support of the other to be able to effectively challenge the DMK. And with Vijay as a new player, I think it will be interesting if the BJP manages to get him too as part of their alliance. But I think the BJP would immediately focus on bringing the AIADMK into its alliance, because there seems to be more similarity in terms of what the two believe in. But these are interesting days for Tamil Nadu politics, and given the fact that state assembly elections is the next major poll in the state, I think that will be the time when the realignment of forces would happen. But I would also believe that the chances of the BJP and the ADMK coming together are much stronger, because that would then help them challenge the DMK, which has been winning continuously both the Lok Sabha and the assembly elections.
Professor Shastri, thank you all of you for joining me on this show. Will Vijay be able to make a mark in a state where several other political leaders from the film fraternity have failed to do so? That remains to be seen. But moving on to some breaking news, Lawrence Bishnoi's brother Anmol Bishnoi has been arrested now. Anmol Bishnoi is an accused in the Baba Siddiqui case. Anmol Bishnoi is the younger brother of notorious gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, and somebody who's wanted in connection with multiple high-profile cases, including murder of Punjabi singer Sidhu Moosewala that happened in 2022, and also the gunfire incident outside Salman Khan's Mumbai residence in June this year. He has been arrested in California in the United States of America. That's what sources have told NDTV. My colleague Tanushka joins us with more details on this. Tanushka, tell us a little bit about the update that we have on the arrest of Anmol Bishnoi. Bishnoi is also wanted, for the murder of former Maharashtra Minister Baba Siddiqui.
Right, exactly, Vasudha. Anmol Bishnoi, who's a fugitive and also the brother of fugitive Lawrence Bishnoi, has been detained by the United States Police, and this we know as per the intelligence sources. And what we're also learning about this detaining is that he was taken into custody several days ago, and he's also been in custody by the United States Police, and he was caught near California. Remember, Anmol Bishnoi is the same person who is accused in the murder of Sidhu Moosewala, the famous Punjabi singer, as well as the recent murder of NCP leader Baba Siddiqui as well. And there are also a number of murder cases that are against Anmol Bishnoi, and him being, right now in detention by the United States Police is indeed major news with respect to this gangster, especially because he's the brother of Lawrence Bishnoi.
Right. Tanushka, also help us track the developments in this case. Also, to wrap this up for our viewers, we understand that the Mumbai Police's crime branch had began this extradition process to bring him back from the US. In fact, a special court in Maharashtra had also issued a non-bailable warrant for his arrest and also a red corner notice that followed. Tell us what really happened in this case and who is Anmol Bishnoi that we are talking about.
Well, Anmol Bishnoi has been a really wanted criminal. Anmol Bishnoi has also been someone who has been involved in the shootings aimed at the residence complex of Salman Khan, actor Salman Khan as well. And he has been, an accomplice in notable such incidents of crime and murder, especially in the country. And he has been a fugitive in the past couple of years. And currently, of course, he has been detained by the United States Police and found near California. He has been a fugitive, and we know that currently the gangster in custody, Lawrence Bishnoi, is his brother as well. And Anmol Bishnoi has also had, police, especially the Mumbai crime branch, had 10 lakh warrant also behind him, for his being arrested as well. But right now, finally, he has been taken into detention by the United States Police.
Yeah, thank you, Tanushka, for joining us with those details. Anmol Bishnoi, the younger brother of notorious gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, somebody who's wanted in high-profile cases, in connection with high-profile cases, including the murder of Punjabi singer Sidhu Moosewala, has now been detained. He's been arrested in the US. That's what we know so far. Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
The last elections of 2024. It's the battle for India's economic heart. An election that will decide Maharashtra's future.
Can the big brother BJP manage the competing ambitions of Mahayuti? Can the Red Book rally the voters once again for Congress and its allies? So as Maharashtra's future trajectory takes shape, we report from the ground.
Two visions, two ideology, one verdict. An election where no caste chemistry can yield a perfect formula.
It's a state that is splintered with power battles. The big question, will Maharashtra poll outcome unify parties or divide them further? And who will emerge as Maharashtra's undisputed leader?
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president.
Donald triumphs. What does Trump's win mean for America, for the world, for the wars, and for India-US relations? Non-stop coverage on NDTV. Top analysts and voices from the ground. Extensive coverage on NDTV.
We reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
This week on India Ascends.
All eyes on upcoming Rio G20. India poised to mend emerging economies, G7 divisions. Trump 2.0. Is it time up, Trudeau? Ottawa stares at fresh turmoil. Chinese security personnel in Pakistan. Is it Beijing's bid to colonize Islamabad? And in Bangladesh, why does Attorney General want secular removed from the constitution?
All this and more only on India Sense with me, Gauri Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV. The campaigning for Maharashtra and Jharkhand has ended, and both states, 288 seats in Maharashtra and 38 of the remaining seats in Jharkhand, will vote on Wednesday, the 20th of November. In fact, it was a high decibel campaign centered around the slogans of Ek Hain to Safe Hain and Batenge to Katenge, given out by BJP leaders, peppered by competitive welfare promises, and opposition prominently raising the issues of price rise and farmers' unrest, and the BJP blaming them for stalling development projects. Let's talk about Mumbai first. The financial capital of the country, 36 seats in all, critical for every party. Let me tell you what happened in 2019. BJP and then united Shiv Sena had together put up a spectacular performance by collectively winning 30 out of the total 36 seats. Lok Sabha elections of 2024 were different when the UBT Sena captured 3 out of the 6 seats, while its ally Congress won 1 seat. Eknath Shinde-led Shiv Sena had managed to win just 1 seat here, while 1 seat went to the BJP. Rest of Maharashtra, it was the MVA that had the edge in the Lok Sabha poll, something that the BJP is hoping to reverse this time around. Now in Jharkhand, this is a state where BJP lost all tribal seats in Lok Sabha elections of 2024. Now the party is hoping to make a comeback, riding on its aggressive positioning against Bangladeshi infiltrators vis-a-vis Hemant Soren's strong Jharkhand tribal identity plus welfare pitch. Now, how are the numbers stacked up for both fronts? Who has the edge? Who could be the kingmaker? We discuss all that today. Before we go to our guests, a look at the campaign highlights from today.
महाराष्ट्र की जनता ये पहचान चुकी है कि उनका भविष्य और उनकी विकास की तमन्ना जो है उसको पूरा करने में महायुति ही सफल होगी और इसलिए महायुति के पक्ष में सब लोगों ने अपना समर्थन देना चाहिए। जहां तक महाविकास अघाड़ी का सवाल है, बड़े स्पष्ट शब्दों में उनके पास कोई मुद्दा नहीं है। सिर्फ सत्ता के लिए और कुर्सी पर बैठने के लिए वो आतुर हैं और उसकी के लिए वो सारी योजनाएं बनाते हैं। बांटने का काम तो उन्होंने किया है।
एक तरफ इंडिया गठबंधन कांग्रेस पार्टी जो संविधान की रक्षा कर रही है और गरीबों की सरकार, किसानों की, मजदूरों की, पिछड़ों की, दलितों, आदिवासियों की सरकार चलाना चाहते हैं, और दूसरी तरफ वो शक्तियां जो संविधान को, अंबेडकर जी के संविधान को क्रश करना चाहती हैं, खत्म करना चाहती हैं। प्रधानमंत्री झूठ बोलते हैं और कहते हैं कि मैं रिजर्वेशन के खिलाफ हूं। मैं रिजर्वेशन के खिलाफ नहीं हूं, मैं रिजर्वेशन को 50% से ज्यादा बढ़ाना चाहता हूं। मैंने प्रधानमंत्री जी को कहा कि आप जाति जनगणना कीजिए, हम आपको पूरा सपोर्ट देंगे, और प्रधानमंत्री ने मेरा जवाब तक नहीं दिया।
मेरा यही आप सभी को कहना है कि सब मतदाताओं को 20 तारीख को आप लोग घर से बाहर निकलिए और अपने मतों का प्रयोग करिए। हमारे जन मुद्दों की लड़ाई में बीजेपी हमारे साथ कभी नहीं रहती है, चाहे हमारा पिछड़ों का 27% का आरक्षण हो, सरना आदिवासी धर्म का कोड हो, या हमारा 1932 का स्थानीय नीति हो। हम विधानसभा से पारित कराते हैं, लेकिन बीजेपी का कोई ऐसा व्यक्ति नहीं है जो हमारे झारखंड के मुद्दों पर हमारे साथ लड़ता है। पिछले डबल इंजन सरकार ने तो क्या क्या किया है, हमारे सरकारी स्कूलों को हजारों बंद करने का काम किया। बीजेपी सिर्फ जुमला बहुत अच्छे से करना जानती है और इनके खुद के वादे हैं ना, ये खुद बोल के भूल जाते हैं। बोले थे ना कि एक साल में 2-2 करोड़ नौकरियां देंगे। 10 साल से इंतजार कर रहे हैं लोग।
संताल परगना कोल्हान भी हम जीत गया, संताल परगना भी जीतेंगे हम लोग, पूरा झारखंड जीतेंगे हम लोग। झारखंड ही संताल परगना धरती सिद्धू करने धरती में जो बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठ जो और यहाँ का आदिवासी का जनसंख्या जो घट गया, सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा है। सबसे पहले बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठ को उखाड़ के फेंकना है।
We have Amitabh Tiwari, political strategist, joining us. We also have Aarti Jairath, senior journalist, and also Aditi Fadnis, senior journalist, joining us. Thank you all of you for joining me on this show. Aditi Fadnis, to you first. Ma'am, you've travelled in Maharashtra extensively throughout your career. Tell us, what are your big takeaways from the campaign that we saw in Maharashtra? Because for the BJP, winning just 9 seats of the 28 seats that it fought in Lok Sabha was a big setback. But the party has been saying that it's just, the vote share that counts, and vote share hasn't been that different. Do you think that 5 months are enough for mood of the state to change?
Well, disclaimer, I went to Maharashtra during the Lok Sabha election. I did not visit during the Vidhan Sabha election. But in the Lok Sabha election itself, it was pretty clear that people were deeply concerned about the issue of the reservation and constitution. They were very concerned about lack of jobs, and others, not voters, but others have commented extensively. I mean, I'm not saying this. These are reports which have been brought out by the European Union and other agencies, which basically say that it is very hard to do business in Maharashtra because of very high rental costs. So what the total picture seems to be is that people are not sure how long they're going to be MLAs. They just want to, rape the system as much as possible and just make sure that their expenses and beyond are covered because of the splits that have taken place in the Maharashtra political scene.
Right. Aarti Charat, when you talk about Maharashtra elections, the fight of the Senas is being seen as most critical because it's being seen as a survival battle for both Eknath Shinde and Bal Thackeray, Uddhav Bal Thackeray. Uddhav Thackeray has been talking a lot about legacy. Eknath Shinde, on the other hand, is talking about his accessibility, the fact that he has thrown Varsha open for people. And on the other hand, there's NCP with Pawar's also facing a very difficult test. Do you see Maharashtra, witnessing a lot of post-poll action, after the elections are done, or do you in some ways envisage a clear majority?
Well, the events of the last 5 years in Maharashtra, starting with the way the MVA government was formed and then the way the MVA government was toppled and the Shiv Sena split and then the NCP split, I think it has really upset the political dynamics in Maharashtra hugely. And I think we've reached a stage today where it's very, very difficult to make any predictions. I think a lot is boiling down to local candidates and, the kind of appeal individual candidates have in their area. I think that's one thing that is going to determine rather than, party affiliation, because parties have scattered in so many directions that people really don't know which party stands for what. So I think, it's going to be much more individual driven. The other thing is, of course, the battle between the two national parties in Vidarbha. The Congress versus the BJP, I think they are fighting the maximum number of seats against each other in Vidarbha. And if we go by the Haryana experience, the Congress is really no match for, the BJP's election machinery. Perhaps Vidarbha is also where the RSS is headquartered. So, maybe the RSS is also putting in a lot of effort there. But if Sharad Pawar has a hand in planning the Congress strategy for Vidarbha, maybe we can expect some surprises. I don't know. But I think, it's pretty much, up in the air in Maharashtra. Very, very difficult today to say, with all these legacy battles in play and, with no real ideology driving the, campaign. I think it's going to be very difficult to make a prediction.
Right. Also, Amitabh Tiwari, I was in Mumbai for a few days, and one thing that I saw that people acknowledge the need for better facilities, better services. The city is expanding, they're demanding more, but they also want political stability, something that our panelists also talked about. How critical are the 36 seats of Mumbai, the MMR, that has seen a surge in infra growth, is important not just for Maharashtra but for the country. But this is also where the builder, corporator, politician network works, works very strongly. So there are also communities from different parts of the country. How do you expect Mumbai to vote this time?
No, so Mumbai, if you see, even in the 2024 general election, in terms of assembly segments, the MVA had won or was leading in 20 and the Mahayuti on 16. So it was a fairly tight contest in Mumbai. It is because historically, Shiv Sena, BJP, even the Congress party has had strong roots in Mumbai. The NCP is not that much present here. So out of the 36 seats, this time 18 seats are being fought between BJP and Shiv Sena UBT. So that's fairly critical. And another 15, I think, between Shiv Sena factions of Eknath Shinde and Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray. So these two main contests are going to determine the picture of Bombay. People do want political stability, but it is not fairly sure as to what will happen post the results. If there is a hung assembly, if the numbers do not come out in the way for Mahayuti or MVA in the way they have envisaged, there could be further hoppings from one alliance to another. There is a big role of independents and smaller parties. Historically, they've got 25% vote share, 29-30 seats. So all of this adds to the political pot boiler in Maharashtra. And I think I have traveled across all the 6 regions. What I see is that people are generally more interested in choosing their MLA. because nobody is sure what is going to happen post-election results. So they rather choose a person who will stand for them, is accessible, and does good work, cutting across party lines. So it is a very seat-by-seat, individualistic kind of an election. MLAs or candidates who have good popularity and networks are likely to win. And since we've not had many local elections for a long time, what has also happened is that all the issues and dynamics of all these municipal corporation elections, municipality elections are juxtaposed into one election now, which is the Vidhan Sabha election.
Now, that's very interesting. Something that our panelists also pointed out, that it could be candidate specific. It's become a localized election. Aditi Fadnis, do you also see a possibility of east-west divide in Maharashtra? In simple words, Marathwada, Vidarbha, that have substantially rural parts voting differently from the cities. You know, a Mumbai or a Pune or a Sholapur have seen much more progress in the last few years. Or do you see something like a pan-state scheme like Ladki Bahin Yojana having more of an impact unifying voters?
Well, first of all, Ladki Bahin Yojana has been quite a success. And I was talking to some Congress people, and even they were saying that this is going to be a setback for us. You know, if sitting at home, you can get up to 6,000 rupees a month every month in your bank account. If you have two daughters who are at home, then that is pretty good for areas which are very badly hit by drought, particularly in Vidarbha, are very seriously looking for work. It's hard to get people married. It's hard to get people educated because there is no work. And overall, the situation in the rural areas is not a happy one. It's that people are not happy about their situation. So they will vote for someone, as Amitabh ji said, who will do their work, who will be accessible. But at the same time, issues like family issues, you know, the Sharad Pawar and Ajit Pawar's very strong exhortation about division of families, issues of caste, these kind of things are also going to be very important.
Right.
In Western Maharashtra as well as in Vidarbha.
Right. Ati Sharat, talking about Jharkhand now, you know, there have been these competing narratives when it comes to tribal identity. If we talk about Santal Pargana, which goes to polls on the 20th of November, 18 assembly constituencies, 9 of them were won by the JMM in 2019, 4 by the BJP, 4 by the Congress. So how do you see this battle of narratives playing out? Because Hemant Soren himself is a candidate from this part of the state. Do you see something like the BJP saying that it's the infiltrators from Bangladesh who are taking away resources being played against the JMM saying that the Sarna code, the tribal identity is very important? Do you see this having an impact on voters of this region?
Well, I think tribal identity is a cause of concern for tribals in Jharkhand because, you know, there's no question that, you know, their population is hollowing out. And that's largely because these areas are very underdeveloped, they're very poor, and there is a lot of migration taking place of tribals outside. You know, they're migrating to places like Delhi, all over UP, even as far as Bombay and as far as Bangalore and so on, seeking jobs as domestic workers, drivers, office boys, whatever they can get. So I think that you know, tribal identity is a very, very important issue for tribals. Whether tribals attribute this to increased infiltration by Bangladeshis or they attribute it to economic issues, you know, I think the election results will tell, because the BJP has conducted this very robust campaign on Bangladeshi infiltration. But, you know, frankly, I don't know. I think tribals have many economic issues to worry about, much more than, you know, sort of Bangladeshi infiltration. So I really don't know how this BJP's, you know, card of infiltration is really going to play out with the tribals. I think,
Right.
they are really much more worried about preserving their identity, about, getting some kind of economic benefits, which they have not got all these years, despite this state being carved out for the benefit of the tribals, despite the fact that tribals sit on enormous resources, mineral-rich resources, which are very valuable, but they don't really get a share
It's going to be a combination of factors with the tribal
money that
identity
these
actually
resources
playing
generate.
an important role. A last word from you, Amitabh Tiwari. Like you were also talking about how Maharashtra has seen a lot of developments in the last 5 years, 2 major parties splitting, 3 chief ministers, affluent civic bodies like BMC, PMC still waiting elections. What is going to really drive voters like Aarti and Aditi have also been saying, ideology, economy, welfare, infra, identity, or is it going to be something else?
No, it's going to be a mix of various issues, and that's going to be very individual based. So, if you're a female and have been receiving money in your account, the Ladki Bahin scheme, so it all depends upon what identity you carry to the booth. Are you going to the booth as a female who is a beneficiary, or are you going to the booth as a wife of a farmer who has committed suicide, or are you going to the booth as an unemployed female? So these are complex emotional also issues which will play out on that day. And of course, there are 2 Maharashtras, one Vidarbha, Marathwada, and large parts of North Maharashtra, largely rural agricultural distress, inflation, and unemployment are going to be the key concerns there. Whereas in Mumbai, Thane, Konkan, and Western Maharashtra, the focus will be largely on infrastructure and development. And in Western Maharashtra, it's a battle of 2 Pawars, the Ajit Pawar and the Sharad Pawar, who are battling it out on 20 seats. Whereas in Thane, Konkan, and Mumbai, there are 27 seats where UBT and Eknath Shinde will be battling. So these 47 seats could well determine the results, and we'll have to see how this pans out.
Well, so it's a battle between ideologies, welfare promises, and of course, loyalties, or actually the lack of it. Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. All 288 seats of Maharashtra and 38 of Jharkhand will be voting on the 20th of November. The results will be out on the 23rd of November. We'll be tracking all of that very closely. Keep watching us. For now, let's watch this special report by my colleague Pooja Bharadwaj from the battleground of Baramati.
इलेक्शन कार्निवल का मंच सज चुका है। एक और शहर में कई विधानसभा सीटों से गुजरते हुए इस वक्त हम महाराष्ट्र में पवार की नगरी बारामती में पहुंच चुके हैं। बारामती राजनीति का एक तरह से केंद्र बना हुआ नजर आता है। शरद पवार ने यहीं से अपनी राजनीति की शुरुआत की थी। 6 बार के सांसद, 5 बार के विधायक, और फिर अपनी परंपरागत सीट को उन्होंने अपने भतीजे अजीत पवार को दे दिया। 1991 से लेकर अब तक हम देखें तो अजीत पवार इस सीट से लगातार जीतते आए हैं, लेकिन एनसीपी उन्होंने तोड़ दी। उसके बाद अब जो एनसीपी का 2 धड़ा है, महाराष्ट्र की 38 सीटों पर आमने सामने है। पश्चिम महाराष्ट्र में 20 सीटों पर सीधी लड़ाई है, और उसी पश्चिम महाराष्ट्र की इस नगरी में बारामती में हम मौजूद हैं। लेकिन बारामती खास क्यों है? लोकसभा में अजीत पवार ने अपनी पत्नी सुनेत्रा पवार को अपनी बहन के सामने खड़ा किया, तो पवार वर्सेस पवार पहली बार बारामती ने ये लड़ाई देखी। ये लड़ाई वहीं नहीं रुकी। विधानसभा चुनाव के पहले एक बार फिर से यहाँ पर पवार वर्सेस पवार है। शरद पवार ने अपने पोते और अजीत पवार के भतीजे योगेंद्र पवार को यहाँ से कैंडिडेट बनाया है, तो सीधी लड़ाई यहाँ पर चाचा भतीजे की है। और यहाँ पर डिस्कशन शुरू करते हैं। हमारे साथ जो खास मेहमान हैं, सबसे पहले उनका परिचय कराते हैं। हमारे साथ अविनाश गोफने जी हैं, अजीत पवार गुट के महायुति के प्रवक्ता यहाँ पर। स्वागत है सर आपका। इसी के साथ संदीप देवकाते हैं, प्रवक्ता शरद पवार गुट के। स्वागत है सर आपका भी इलेक्शन कार्निवल में। महाविकास अघाड़ी के संदीप देवकाते जी प्रवक्ता हैं। कालूराम चौधरी जी हैं बसपा से। स्वागत है सर आपका। और मिथुन आटोले हैं, अपक्ष यहाँ से उम्मीदवार हैं, इंडिपेंडेंट कैंडिडेट हैं। और ज्ञानेश्वर रायते हैं, वरिष्ठ पत्रकार। तो सर आपसे ही शुरुआत करते हैं, लेकिन उसके पहले जोरदार तालियां हमारे खास मेहमानों के लिए और आप लोगों के लिए भी। लेकिन मुझे इसलिए लगता है कि जो असल इम्तिहान है कैंडिडेट से कहीं ज़्यादा वो आप लोगों के लिए है, कि उस पवार परिवार के लिए जिसके लिए आप इतने वर्षों से लॉयल रहे, वफादार रहे, आज आपको उन्हीं परिवार के 2 सदस्यों में से चुनना है कि किसी चुने। आप तक आएंगे, लेकिन ज्ञानेश्वर जी आपसे शुरुआत करते हैं। साहेब या फिर दादा, ये जो लड़ाई है, मुझे लगता है पवार वर्सेस पवार ही सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा है विकास के मुद्दे से जो ऊपर उठा हुआ दिख रहा है। आप क्या कहेंगे?
एकदम बराबर है, पवार वर्सेस पवार ही ज़्यादा है, और उसमें ज़्यादा है कि भावनिकता। विकास का मुद्दा जो लेके चल रहे हैं उसमें 2 राय है कि एक आर्थिक विकास और एक है पायाभूत विकास, उसके साथ शाश्वत विकास। शरद पवार ने पहले 1967 से जो किया वो शाश्वत विकास, और उसके बाद मुहर लगाई अजीत पवार ने तो उसका पायाभूत विकास, जिसको हम इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट बोलते हैं। तो इसी के ऊपर अगर दोनों गुट एक अपने आप पर टीका कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उससे ज़्यादा 18 तारीख जब आएगी, यहाँ का बारामती का माहौल जानता है कि जब ये प्रचार खत्म होता है, उसकी जो सभा होती है ना, उसमें उसका संदेश आता है कि कौन किसके पलड़े में ज़्यादा भारी पड़ेगा।
गोफनी साहब आपके पास आते हैं। एक धड़ा ये कहता है कि 35 साल का जो रिश्ता है अजीत पवार का, वो एक चेहरे के तौर पे बारामती के लिए रहे हैं। अब ऐसे समय में जब राजनीति के लिए नया चेहरा योगेंद्र पवार है, तो कहीं ना कहीं आपके लिए एक आसान रास्ता दे दिया गया है। मानते हैं आप इसको, या फिर विकास एक मुद्दा है जिसको लेके आप आगे चल रहे हैं?
नहीं, डेमोक्रेसी में कोई आसान रास्ता नहीं होता है। मैं 2 मिनट मुझे पूजा जी दीजिए। मैं मेरे साथ में 9,000 करोड़ का जो डेवलपमेंट का काम किया है अजीत पवार साहब ने, वो किताब लेके आया हूँ मैं। उसमें पूरा कच्चा चिट्टा है, और मुझे इतना ही बताना है, ये बारामती में पूरा डेवलपमेंट मेडिकल सेक्टर में हो, कोऑपरेटिव सेक्टर में, रोड सेक्टर में हो, या किसी भी चीज में आप जाके दीजिए। 50 साल पीने का पानी मिनरल वाटर सोच के अजीत दादा ने यहाँ पर काम किया है, पसीना बहाया है।
पर तो ये क्रेडिट आप सीधे कैसे लेंगे सर? ये क्रेडिट आप सीधे कैसे लेंगे?
अरे अजीत दादा ने अपना पसीना बहाया है, 30 साल मेहनत की है।
अगर शरद पवार जी का हाथ नहीं होता, संदीप जी आप इसमें कुछ ऐड करना चाहते हैं?
सीधी सी बात है, 67 से पवार साहब ने अपनी राजनीति शुरू की है।
हाँ।
और इस राजनीति में जब दिल्ली के यहाँ पवार साहब को काम करना, तो महाराष्ट्र का सब कारोबार दादा के हाथ में दिया, अजीत दादा के हाथ में। अभी हमारे सहयोगी ने बताया कि ये सब स्ट्रक्चर है, ये बारामती का जो स्ट्रक्चर इन्होंने दिखाया है, ये सब हवा में है, काम हुए हैं। अगर किसी ग्राम पंचायत को आपको 10 लाख का काम मिलता है, तो उसमें से 9 लाख जो वहाँ पे कॉन्ट्रैक्टर है उसके पॉकेट में जाते हैं। रास्ता हवा में होता है और पैसा पॉकेट में होता है। कोई भी आसानी से आपको सर्वसामान्य यहाँ पे जो नागरिक है हमारे बारामती के, वो आपको बताएंगे।
ये इन दोनों ने भी बताया कि पवार साहब ने ये किया और दादा ने ये किया। अगर पवार साहब ने भी विकास किया और दादा ने भी विकास किया, तो इनके प्रचार के लिए जो लोग घूम रहे हैं उनको पैसे देकर ये क्यों लगा रहे हैं? अब इतने करोड़ों रुपए का आप लोगों ने विकास किया, तो आपके पीछे जो लोग रैली में और सभा में लेके जा रहे हो, उनको पैसा क्यों दे रहे हो? और दूसरी रही बात, अब इन्होंने बताया कि मेडिकल सेक्टर में बहुत काम किया। मेडिकल सेक्टर की इमारतें खड़ी है लेकिन इलाज नहीं मिलता। और जो प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल है, प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल का जो डॉक्टर है वो बारामती को लूटता है, वो डेड बॉडी भी नहीं छोड़ता। और वो अभी इलेक्शन चल रहा है ना, वो जो पूरे प्राइवेट डॉक्टर है ना, वो पवार, ये दोनों फैमिली के प्रचार में है। बारामती की मूल समस्या ये है, ये पवार फैमिली है।
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं,
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही, त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा महाराष्ट्रवाद।
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त आहेत, पण का भरत नाही? राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे।
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं की त्यांच्याच खिशातले पैसे चालले। शेतकऱ्यांना मोफत वीज देण्याचं काम आपल्या सरकारने सुरू केलं।
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. only on NDTV 24/7. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
In the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app, news that matters to you.
The last elections of 2024. It's the battle for India's economic heart. An election that will decide.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the news. I'm Gargi Rawat. Stay with us as we bring you all the news you need to know. The Supreme Court today pulled up authorities over the pollution crisis in the national capital region. Also, Home Minister Amit Shah held a second meeting on the Manipur unrest. All that and more coming up ahead. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Supreme Court pulls up authorities over delay in implementing tough restrictions under the Graded Response Action Plan as the national capital chokes. Orders that schools be closed across the national capital region. The Delhi government hits out at the centre, says this is a North India crisis. The Union Environment Minister is sleeping. Cash, liquor, freebies are seized in poll-bound states by the Election Commission worth 1,000 crores, 660 crore worth in Mumbai alone. This is 7 times more than the seizures that were made in 2019. Former Delhi minister and close A close minister to Kejriwal, Kailash Gehlot, has switched from the Aam Aadmi Party to the BJP. Yesterday, he quit the AAP and he denies that he left AAP under any pressure. Says there was no ED or CBI pressure on him. Says the party lost its way. Home Minister Amit Shah held a high-level meeting on the Manipur unrest today. The second meeting in 2 days. The central team will now visit Manipur, while 50 companies of central forces will be deployed on the ground. Singer Diljit Dosanjh hits back over warnings for liquor-free songs by Telangana, and a notice says make states dry will stop songs on alcohol. Telangana has said the notice was in public interest, don't want to encourage drug culture and alcohol. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Brazil for the G20. He will engage in several key bilaterals, a meeting of top leaders of the world taking place ahead of the Trump presidency, which is expected to change several key US policies. All right, so let's get started. And the Supreme Court today had some tough words for the Delhi government as well as the Anti-Pollution Board over steps taken to tackle the pollution crisis, questioning why pollution curbs were implemented late. Significantly, the top court has asked that pollution curbing measures, including closing of physical schools, to be implemented across the National Capital Region in all the states, not just in Delhi. Meanwhile, the Delhi government today said that the air pollution crisis was impacting the entire North India and that the centre as well as the Union Environment Minister were sleeping.
A thick layer of smog has enveloped Delhi NCR. The air quality continues to worsen each passing day, with the AQI crossing 484 in the national capital. This is the season's worst AQI in Delhi, leaving Delhiites gasping for air.
Anybody who's a non-smoker is smoking 40 cigarettes per day. Do not know all our three measures of GRAP 1, 2 and 3 have failed. Supreme Court, Delhi government, all concerned agencies to come forward and to find out what is the reason. It's every year.
As a doctor, it's really sad to see everyone coughing away, wearing masks, which itself is so hazardous because it doesn't, it puts so much pressure on your lungs, it puts so much pressure on your heart. But I mean, it's really, really unfortunate. What are these two governments doing, whether it's the center or the state? They're just fighting with each other and we are helpless and, suffering. This is very, very unfortunate for all of us.
GRAP 4 has been, first of all, implemented pretty late. There has to be more coordinated effort by the government and people will follow, because they know everybody is ready to follow the rules. Only thing is the implementers are not there.
As Delhi continues to choke, the Supreme Court today pulled up the Delhi government and questioned it over the delay in implementing stricter anti-pollution measures under GRAP 4. The top court has strictly told the Delhi government to not relax the GRAP 4 anti-pollution curbs without informing it. The court also questioned the anti-pollution panel, saying that when the AQI was 418 on November 13th, why did it lose precious time to invoke stricter pollution curbs? The court has asked Delhi government to also ensure a construction ban in the national capital. Meanwhile, politics over Delhi pollution has erupted. Delhi Chief Minister Atishi accused BJP-ruled UP and MP of stubble burning, while also putting the onus on the centre to find a nationwide solution to the crisis. Delhi BJP leaders were also seen distributing masks to the people at a Delhi metro station. The BJP has blamed the Delhi government for the health crisis in the national capital.
चाहे राजस्थान हो, वहाँ पे स्टबल बर्निंग हो रही है, चाहे हरियाणा हो, चाहे उत्तर प्रदेश हो, चाहे मध्य प्रदेश हो, और केंद्र सरकार क्या कर रही है? अगर इस पूरे देश में एक राज्य है जिसने स्टबल बर्निंग की, पराली जलाने की घटनाओं को कम किया है, वो पंजाब है। पिछले 6 साल में, पिछले 7 साल में केंद्र सरकार एक कदम बताए जो उन्होंने ये घटनाएं रोकने के लिए लिया है।
अगर केंद्र सरकार ने, तीसरी बार सरकार बनी है, अगर केंद्र सरकार ने जिम्मेदारी के साथ सभी राज्यों के साथ मिलकर के अगर सही तरीके से कार्य योजना बनाई होती तो आज ये दिन दिल्ली और पूरे उत्तर भारत के लोगों को नहीं देखने पड़ते।
मैं दिल्ली की सरकार से एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूं। ग्रैप 1, ग्रैप 2, ग्रैप 3 लगाने के बावजूद भी अगर दिल्ली में पोल्यूशन कम नहीं हो रहा तो प्रतिबंध से पोल्यूशन कम नहीं होगा। आपको डस्ट कंट्रोल करना पड़ेगा, आपको पंजाब की पराली का धुआं रोकना पड़ेगा, जिसके बारे में आप बात नहीं कर रहे हैं। आप लगाते रहिए प्रतिबंध, जनता तो मजबूर है कि वो आपके प्रतिबंध झेलेगी, लेकिन दिल्ली में पोल्यूशन की ये हालत आपके नकारेपन और निकम्मेपन के कारण है, जिसका खामियाजा दिल्ली की जनता को भुगतना पड़ रहा है।
For days in a row, the national capital has been reeling under a blanket of thick smog, with the air quality further dipping to alarming levels. There seems no immediate respite in sight. The need of the hour is for the centre and the state governments to collaborate their efforts in finding a permanent solution to the pollution crisis. Bureau Report, NDTV.
Kailash Gehlot, Delhi's former transport minister until Sunday, one of ruling Aam Aadmi Party's senior-most leaders, today crossed over to the BJP in the presence of Union Ministers ML Khattar and Harsh Malhotra. Mr. Khattar, in fact, described Mr. Gehlot's induction as a turning point, especially before the February elections in Delhi. Now, Gehlot denied claims of pressure which were alleged by the Aam Aadmi Party. He said there was no CBI or ED pressure on him, that he left the party because they had lost the way.
कुछ लोग सोचते होंगे कि ये ओवरनाइट कुछ डिसीजन हो गया या किसी के दबाव में मैंने निर्णय लिया। हर एक व्यक्ति जो ये सोच रहा है कि किसी के दबाव में मैंने निर्णय लिया, मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि मैंने आज तक किसी के दबाव में आके कोई काम नहीं किया। तो जितने भी ऐसी मुझे सुनने में आ रहा है कि ऐसा कोई नैरेटिव बिल्ड करने की कोशिश की जा रही है कि जिन्होंने ईडी के दबाव में कर दिया, सीबीआई के दबाव में कर दिया, तो ये सारी मेरे ख्याल से गलतफहमी है। इस प्रकार का नैरेटिव बिल्ड किया जा रहा है।
Home Minister Amit Shah today held a high-level meeting on the Manipur unrest, the second in a span of 2 days. At the meeting, it was decided that additional 50 companies of the CRPF and BSF, comprising more than 5,000 personnel, would be sent to Manipur amid a fresh wave of ethnic violence in the state. A central team will also visit the northeastern state. The Congress today hit out at the Prime Minister and the Home Minister over the continuing unrest.
1.5 साल हो गए मणिपुर हिंदुस्तान का स्टेट है, मगर प्रधानमंत्री आज तक मणिपुर नहीं गए हैं। और मणिपुर में मैं गया हूं, मैंने अपनी आंखों से जो हो रहा है देखा है। हमारी पूरी सपोर्ट है। हमने सरकार को कहा है कि जल्दी से जल्दी हिंसा को बंद कीजिए, मगर नहीं हो रहा है। और इसमें वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट किसी का तो है। होम मिनिस्टर जी को अपना काम करना चाहिए, मगर किसी ना किसी कारण होम मिनिस्टर अपने काम में इंटरेस्ट नहीं ले रहे हैं।
All right, well, let's go across to Aishwarya now for more. Aishwarya, tell us more about the decisions that were taken at this high-level meeting. It was the second one held by the Home Minister in 2 days' time.
Well, an all-important meeting today held by Home Minister Amit Shah. This is the second meeting in 2 days. Yesterday, he cut short his election tour and came back and held an emergency meeting looking at the prevailing situation of law and order in the state of Manipur. And today as well, with the top senior security grid, the meeting was conducted and a few decisions were taken. According to sources, we have been told that 50 companies, that means at least 4,000 to 5,000 CRPF police personnel will be sent to the state of Manipur looking at the prevailing situation, and they will be deployed at the super hypersensitive zones, including the districts where these violence and clashes had been reported. On the other side, we've been told that there would be deliberations which happened between the central and the state government, that whether or not AFSPA should be imposed further as well, so that the central paramilitary forces can take over and take control of it. A joint plan with the central government and state governments also needs to be initiated. Of course, the dialogue between these Kukis communities and the Metis communities will further go on, and therefore the reason perhaps now we have been told that today the meeting had got over and important decisions have been taken. Of course, the central government is in the view that peace and harmony should be restored as soon as possible in the state of Manipur, and whatever is required, the central government is ready to assist for that.
All right, thanks so much, Aishwarya, for joining us with all those details. Well, let's shift focus now to election news. And today, Maharashtra's spirited poll campaign came to an end this evening at 5 p.m. as the state is set to vote on the 20th of November with the ruling Mahayuti alliance hopeful of retaining power. The MVA is striving for a strong comeback. Both the ruling Mahayuti alliance and the opposition Mahavikas Aghadi launched a newspaper advertisement war today targeting each other. Also, cash, liquor, freebies have been seized in the poll-bound states by the Election Commission worth 1,000 crore. 660 crores was seized in Mumbai alone, and this is 7 times more the seizures than in 2019. Let's just listen into what BJP President JP Nadda said today.
महाराष्ट्र की जनता ये पहचान चुकी है कि उनका भविष्य और उनकी विकास की तमन्ना जो है उसको पूरा करने में महायुति ही सफल होगी और इसलिए महायुति के पक्ष में सब लोगों ने अपना समर्थन देना चाहिए। जहां तक महाविकास अघाड़ी का सवाल है, बड़े स्पष्ट शब्दों में उनके पास कोई मुद्दा नहीं है। सिर्फ सत्ता के लिए और कुर्सी पर बैठने के लिए वो आतुर हैं और उसकी के लिए वो सारी योजनाएं बनाते हैं। बांटने का काम तो उन्होंने किया है।
एक तरफ इंडिया गठबंधन कांग्रेस पार्टी जो संविधान की रक्षा कर रही है और गरीबों की सरकार, किसानों की, मजदूरों की, पिछड़ों की, दलितों, आदिवासियों की सरकार चलाना चाहते हैं, और दूसरी तरफ वो शक्तियां जो संविधान को, अंबेडकर जी के संविधान को क्रश करना चाहती हैं, खत्म करना चाहती हैं। प्रधानमंत्री झूठ बोलते हैं और कहते हैं कि मैं रिजर्वेशन के खिलाफ हूं। मैं रिजर्वेशन के खिलाफ नहीं हूं, मैं रिजर्वेशन को 50% से ज्यादा बढ़ाना चाहता हूं। मैंने प्रधानमंत्री जी को कहा कि आप जाति जनगणना कीजिए, हम आपको पूरा सपोर्ट देंगे, और प्रधानमंत्री ने मेरा जवाब तक नहीं दिया।
All right, let's go across to our reporters now, and we're joined by Radhika and Prabhakar. And Radhika, first you campaigning finally has come to an end. Elections on the 20th, and this is an election that's going to impact national politics as well as it's going to, impact the various political groupings that we are seeing currently.
Absolutely. It's going to be fascinating elections. Of course, it will impact national politics as well. And also because this is the first time assembly elections are happening post the splits and realignments and change in political landscape that we saw 5 years back. Of course, Lok Sabha election results were quite unexpected. MVA won, Mahayuti lost. Will the same get repeated during assembly election? That remains to be seen. Of course, attacks and counterattacks during campaigns. Campaigning, of course, has ended. We'll have to see what happens next when we see the results on 23rd of November. Of course, multiple manifesto launches, releases that have happened where hundreds of promises and guarantees by both Mahayuti and MVA to woo voters in terms of wooing farmers, youth, and of course, multiple women-centric schemes. We know for a fact that Mahayuti is riding high on Ladki Behan scheme, which has benefited a lot of women. To counter that, the Congress party, or rather the MVA, has also come up with a scheme whereby it plans to give 3,000 rupees to women every month, and also free bus rides and several other farmer schemes in order to address agro distress in several parts of Maharashtra. Of course, that is as far as Maharashtra manifestos are concerned, but there is also the caste equation whereby Ek Hai To Safe Hai campaign being launched by the BJP to show how united they are, while at the same time MVA has promised caste census and also development and infrastructure projects that Mahayuti is once again focusing on to tell people that while MVA had stalled several of these projects, it is Mahayuti that has in fact implemented these big ticket projects across the state of Maharashtra. So yes, much being done to woo voters, and that has come to an end. Now we'll have to see whether this does get translated into votes and whether it is the Mahayuti that will in fact win the hearts and minds of people in Maharashtra, or is it going to be MVA?
All right, thanks so much for that, Radhika and Prabhakar. The second phase of elections there in Jharkhand, and really this election we've seen the wooing of the tribal votes. So it'll be interesting to see which way that goes.
Yes, certainly very important, very critical second and the final phase of elections in Jharkhand, and it would happen in the tribal heartland of Jharkhand, that is the Santhal Pargana. Santhal Pargana is basically districts in and around Dumka, and that is where the JMM party has emerged from. That has been the stronghold of JMM. They had traditionally been doing well over there, and the JMM party came into existence because of the tribal movement they launched in Santhal Pargana. So what we have seen in past 1 month, the BJP kind of trying to build a narrative on the ground, talking about illegal immigration, infiltrators, and way those infiltrators are being helped by JMM and the Congress combined government, and way those infiltrators are eating into the resources meant for tribals. So it was all a battle for the tribal vote bank. So now this phase will decide whether BJP has actually been able to dent into it or not. If they are able to score numbers in terms of seats in the Santhal area, that is the tribal dominated belt, then it would be a very serious dent actually into the JMM vote bank, and that might be a key to the power center at Ranchi. Also going to poll will be this Koilanchal belt, as we call the industrial belt of Jharkhand, which is Bokaro and Dhanbad. They are the industrial towns of Jharkhand. They're also be going to polls today. 38 assembly seats going to polls. Big names in fray like Hemant Soren, the Chief Minister himself, his wife Kalpana Soren, two former Chief Ministers. So it will be a very interesting battle to watch on 20th.
All right, thanks so much Prabhakar and Radhika there for joining us with all the very latest. Now, after the Telangana government's notice to Diljit Dosanjh, the hugely popular singer-actor took a dig at the contents, challenging authorities to declare a ban on alcohol, setting that as a condition to ban the word from his songs, exposing the doublespeak of the government. Telangana, however, says their notice was in public interest. They don't want to encourage a drug culture or alcohol.
एक खुशखबरी है, आज मुझे कोई नोटिस नहीं आया।
Singer Diljit Dosanjh at a Diluminati show in Ahmedabad on Tuesday challenged the authorities to ban liquor and start a Dry Nation movement, declaring that he would then stop singing songs with any mention of alcohol.
इससे बड़ी खुशखबरी और है, आज भी मैं कोई गाना शराब पे नहीं गाऊंगा। पिछले 10 दिन में मैंने 2 गाने डिवोशनल निकाले हैं, एक शिव बाबा पे और एक गुरु नानक बाबा जी पे, लेकिन उसकी बात कोई नहीं कर रहा। हर बंदा टीवी पे बैठ के पटियाला पैक की बात कर रहा है। भाई मैं अलग से किसी को फोन करके नहीं बोल रहा कि आपने पटियाला पैक लगाया कि नहीं लगाया, राइट? अभी गाना गा रहा हूँ, मेरा एक गाना है, 2 गाने हो गए ज्यादा से ज्यादा 2-4 गाने, मैं वो भी नहीं गाऊंगा। आज भी मैं वो गाने नहीं गाऊंगा, कोई टेंशन नहीं है। It's very easy for me to tweak the songs, bro, क्योंकि मैं खुद शराब नहीं पीता। It's very easy for me. एक मोमेंट शुरू करते हैं। ये अच्छी बात हुई, इन्होंने ये बात उठाई है। जिस अगर ये हमारे पूरी स्टेट जो है, जितनी भी स्टेट्स हैं हमारे यहाँ, अगर वो सारी अपने आप को ड्राई स्टेट घोषित कर देती हैं, अगले ही दिन दिलजीत दोसांझ अपनी लाइफ में कभी शराब पे गाना नहीं गाएगा। मैं प्रण करता हूं, हो सकता है ये।
This after the Telangana government had issued him a notice ahead of his show in Hyderabad, asking him not to sing songs promoting alcohol, drugs and violence.
You know what it is mentioning, you are requested for not using children on stage during live show in Cyberabad or in Rajkonda area on 15/11/2024, and not to allow singer Diljit Dosanjh to sing alcohol, drugs, violence promoting songs during live show on stage. It is in the interest of the society. The government of Telangana is taking all precautionary measures not to encourage any drug culture or alcohol or violence.
The Telangana Chief Minister has declared zero tolerance for drugs in the state.
As far as Mr. Diljit is concerned, when he says that he wanted to declare Telangana as a dry state during his performance, this shows how inefficient the Revant Reddy's the government is there, because the pubs have been opened until 1 p.m. 1 a.m. in the night. People are going in and around the city drinking without any alcohol tests. We see a lot of drug menace is just going on. This statement is really affecting the people. That means the Telangana government is not capable of controlling the alcohol and the drugs.
Telangana's Women and Child Welfare Department had issued the curb notice to the hugely popular singer after a complaint from a Chandigarh professor who had claimed that Diljit had sung such songs at his Delhi show in October. In Hyderabad with camera person Nagaraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
A day after the Prime Minister showered praise, Union Home Minister Amit Shah today praised film The Sabarmati Report. In a social media post, he wrote, "No matter how hard a powerful ecosystem tries, it cannot keep the truth hidden in darkness forever." The movie, starring Vikrant Amasi, is based on the controversial events that led to the death of 59 pilgrims in the Sabarmati Express after the train was burned, which triggered what's now known as the Godhra riots and left over 1,000 people dead in Gujarat. As Gujarat Chief Minister at the time, Narendra Modi had faced criticism for not stopping the violence. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Brazil today on the second leg of his three-nation visit, during which he will be attending the G20 summit. He posted on his social media handle, "I look forward to summit deliberations and fruitful talks with various world leaders." In Brazil, he'll attend the 19th G20 summit as a member of the Troika. India's part of the G20 Troika along with Brazil and South Africa. In fact, he shared a picture of him meeting Joe Biden as well. Well, let's go across now to reporter Kate Fisher, who joins us from Rio. Kate, tell us a bit about the Prime Minister's program. Also, the G20 summit taking place at a time when we know there's going to be major changes in the United States, and Donald Trump presidency is going to really change a lot of the rules there, a lot of their, so this meeting taking place just ahead of that.
Absolutely. There is a lot going on the world stage at the moment, and this is a crucial time for the leaders of these leading economies to meet. They'll be discussing today, the morning's focus is on the fight against global hunger and poverty. They'll also be examining how to improve global governance. But really top of the agenda, due perhaps to the fact that the COP29 talks continue in Azerbaijan, climate change. Those talks have stalled in Azerbaijan, and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on the heads of state who are meeting here in Rio to work together to take the lead on this and try to help those talks find a solution. He said essentially the purse strings are being held here. So 85% of the world's economy is represented by the leaders who are meeting here, and yet they also represent 80% of the world's emissions. So there is a lot of work to do on that. We are told that perhaps, in contrast to what's gone on in Azerbaijan, a fragile consensus may have been reached, whereby some of these richer countries who have been asking some of the poorer developing countries to contribute more to climate finance, some of them have agreed to sign on to voluntary contributions.
All right, thanks so much. Kate Fisher there reporting from Rio. Well, the Ukraine war is also expected to their feature in talks at the G20. And speaking of the situation on the ground, for the first time, President Biden gave Ukraine the green light to use powerful American long-range weapons for strikes inside Russia, which is expected to escalate the war. Uma Shankar sent us this report from Kiev.
I am in Ukrainian capital Kyiv, and behind me are those Russian tanks and armored vehicles which were destroyed by Ukrainian army during invasion of Kyiv in February-March 2022. The Russia-Ukraine war has dragged now on for 1,000 days, and in the meantime, US President Joe Biden has given Ukraine permission to use long-range missile against Russia. This means that now Ukraine will be able to attack the interior areas of Russia through the Army tactical missile system provided by the US. Ukrainian President Zelensky had been demanding this for a long time, but US was not giving the permission. There was a fear that doing so could further intensify the war. Therefore, for the first 2 years of the war, the US didn't give a permission to Ukraine to use the Army tactical missile system against Russia. In February this year, President Joe Biden decided secretly to give a missile system to Ukraine, and Ukraine received a consignment of these missiles in April. When Zelensky met Joe Biden in Washington last September, he presented the victory plan which he had already presented before the Ukrainian parliament. Information came out through sources that Zelensky presented a list of Russian targets which Ukraine wants to hit with the long-range missile.
All right, and with that, it's a wrap from me. News and updates continue right here on NDTV. Do keep watching.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
Our $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president.
Donald triumphs. What does Trump's win mean for America, for the world, for the wars, and for India-US relations? Non-stop coverage on NDTV. Top analysts and voices from the ground. Extensive coverage on NDTV.
We reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
This week on India.
Hello everyone, this is The Last Word and I'm Maria Shakil. Singer Diljit Dosanjh has challenged authorities across India to ban liquor. While performing in Ahmedabad last evening, he also declared he would not sing songs on alcohol since Gujarat is a dry state. Singer's strong remarks came after the Telangana government directed him not to promote alcohol, drugs and violence in his songs ahead of his Hyderabad concert. The singer, who is on a Diljit India tour, then tweaked his songs Lemonade and Five Tara, but called out double standards by the authorities. After mixed reactions from the crowd on whether liquor is banned in Gujarat, he said he would be a fan of the Gujarat government if it had indeed imposed prohibition on liquor. Then came his challenge to the other states, where he said, and I quote him, "You close liquor shops across the country, I will stop singing songs on alcohol." Actor Karthik Aryan, in fact, came out in support of the singer. Remember, this controversy is part of a larger conversation about artists influencing cultural norms. On one hand is the fact that targeting celebs is easy, and often governments aren't mindful of their own policy and administrative responsibilities, and they blame it solely on social responsibilities of celebrities. Let's first bring in the story and then I bring in the guests.
एक खुशखबरी है, आज मुझे कोई नोटिस नहीं आया।
Singer Diljit Dosanjh at a Diljit show in Ahmedabad on Tuesday challenged the authorities to ban liquor and start a Dry Nation movement, declaring that he would then stop singing songs with any mention of alcohol.
इससे बड़ी खुशखबरी और है, आज भी मैं कोई गाना शराब पे नहीं गाऊंगा। पिछले 10 दिन में मैंने 2 गाने डिवोशनल निकाले हैं, एक शिव बाबा पे और एक गुरु नानक बाबा जी पे, लेकिन उसकी बात कोई नहीं कर रहा। हर बंदा टीवी पे बैठ के पटियाला पैक की बात कर रहा है। भाई, मैं अलग से किसी को फोन करके नहीं बोल रहा कि आपने पटियाला पैक लगाया कि नहीं लगाया, राइट? अभी गाना गा रहा हूँ, मेरा एक गाना है, 2 गाने हो गए ज्यादा से ज्यादा 2-4 गाने, मैं वो भी नहीं गाऊंगा। आज भी मैं वो गाने नहीं गाऊंगा, कोई टेंशन नहीं है। It's very easy for me to tweak the songs, bro, क्योंकि मैं खुद शराब नहीं पीता। It's very easy for me. एक मोमेंट शुरू करते हैं। ये अच्छी बात हुई, इन्होंने ये बात उठाई है। जिस अगर ये हमारे पूरी स्टेट जो है, जितनी भी स्टेट्स हैं हमारे यहाँ, अगर वो सारी अपने आप को ड्राई स्टेट घोषित कर देती हैं, अगले ही दिन दिलजीत दोसांझ अपनी लाइफ में कभी शराब पे गाना नहीं गाएगा। मैं प्रण करता हूं, हो सकता है ये।
This after the Telangana government had issued him a notice ahead of his show in Hyderabad, asking him not to sing songs promoting alcohol, drugs and violence.
You know what it is mentioning, you are requested for not using children on stage during live show in Hyderabad or in Rajkonda area on 15/11/2024, and not to allow singer Diljit Dosanjh to sing alcohol, drugs, violence promoting songs during live show on stage. It is in the interest of the society. The government of Telangana is taking all precautionary measures not to encourage any drug culture or alcohol or violence.
The Telangana Chief Minister has declared zero tolerance for drugs in the state.
As far as Mr. Diljit is concerned, when he says that he wanted to declare Telangana as a dry state during his performance, this shows how inefficient the Revant Reddy's the government is there, because the pubs have been opened until 1 p.m. 1 a.m. in the night. People are going in and around the city drinking without any alcohol tests. We see a lot of drug menace is just going on. This statement is really affecting the people. That means the Telangana government is not capable of controlling the alcohol and the drugs.
Telangana's Women and Child Welfare Department had issued the curb notice to the hugely popular singer after a complaint from a Chandigarh professor who had claimed that Diljit had sung such songs at his Delhi show in October. In Hyderabad with camera person Nagaraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
We have Mayank Shekhar, who is an Indian film critic, Lata Srinivasan, author and entertainment journalist, Gurashish Singh is a singer. We'll be also joined by another singer in just a bit. But Mayank, starting with you. In the fiscal year 2022-23, the excise revenue for the Telangana government was approximately 35,944 crore. And this, of course, revenue comes primarily from the sale of alcohol, which includes excise duties, VAT on liquor and license fee, and the levies related to the regulation of alcohol. So what is the state government talking? Did they pick a wrong guy?
Well, I don't think it's the wrong guy. I think it's the wrong question. And if you have a wrong question, no matter what the answer is going to be a wrong answer. There is a person who is singing perhaps about alcohol. There is a whole tradition of gazillion ghazals which are about jam, right? There is Madhushala. What is Madhushala by Harivansh Bachchan? Is the house of wine, sometimes used as metaphor for something larger. So where do you stop and where do you begin? So clearly, if alcohol is the problem, and it can be, and certainly is in the case of lots of people, but forget about alcohol, even food that triggers cholesterol in your body is a problem. Sugar is a problem. I mean, if you're going to constantly make laws about things you can talk about or sing about, then there is no end to this. Eventually, it's going to be about entertainment, and that's really what Diljit does. And that's really nobody else's concern.
But Mayank,
beyond that.
Here the question is there really glorification of alcohol, particularly given the fact that he is a popular artist who influences young minds, and given the cult that he enjoys, his audiences are younger in nature, and hence he has a bigger social responsibility?
Well, I suppose that would be true for a lot of entertainers, and Diljit, in fact, might be getting singled out for much lesser crimes. In that sense, if you consider these things crimes in the first place, I mean, you have an entire hip hop genre, which is, we've actually seen an incident that took place in Punjab, and which is really about violence, which is a very strong one, and drug culture is a very strong one, where it's part of the lyrics of songs. I think it should certainly be spoken about, should certainly be talked about. Banning one Diljit Dosanjh in Telangana is certainly not the solution.
Okay. If banning is not a solution, then Lata, the larger question is, are celebrities an easy target? Because the state government cannot really ban alcohol, so you ban songs on alcohol.
Absolutely. But then I think, if Telangana was going to ban Diljit from singing songs about alcohol and violence, then what about all the films that glorify, misogyny and violence against women and so on and so forth? Telangana hasn't done anything about that. So then people will start raising that question. So I think this issue, they're seeing it in a very narrow-minded fashion. In fact, Punjabi, the songs, the Bhangra songs, which they sing about alcohol or guns or so on and so forth, is also part of the cultural narrative in Punjab. It's rooted there. It's not that they just suddenly decided to start singing about alcohol and therefore they're doing it. And irony is that, there are Bollywood celebrities who also own alcohol brands. So singling out Diljit seems to be a very narrow-minded perspective of the whole thing. I think Telangana, if the state was really concerned, they should look at what's happening in their own state and in their own films before, they start talking about a singer who's coming from outside and who's very popular. I think he is a soft target, and they're just trying to, make a big issue out of nothing.
And Gurashish, one will also make this argument that Diljit isn't an artist who, endorses liquor brands. There are a number of those who have done that. Then why should he be, made to explain his position and a controversy around him exist at all?
Well, I think probably one of the facts, because Illuminati tour and Diljit in general is the talk of the town at the moment. He's taking Punjabi music to a very global stage.
Yes.
So anything associated with someone at the top is definitely a topic of debate for many. So as I had said in my last interview day before as well, that I think this is nothing personal related to Diljit, but I mean it's completely fine if the government had asked him to not sing songs about alcohol. I didn't see that as a problem, So
you find Diljit's response a problem then?
No, I loved the response as well, to be very honest, because I think it's somewhere motivating everybody to think about this, right? Because today youth is misguided in a wrong direction. A reason why we end up looking for an additional support through these external substances, alcohol, be it drugs, is because somewhere you can't handle life, doing it for just a leisure activities is a very different topic altogether. But I believe that somewhere being misguided, that these things are going to lead you to a happier life, right? That in itself is a topic of debate.
Okay, since you are a singer yourself, tell me, do singers actually feel that their content or lyrics actually is capable of promoting a culture? I mean, in society, people drink. It's not really banned per se in most of the states. Then why should artists take on themselves that they have to be correcting a society from their point of view? What is really a correction here?
Well, I believe that, see, as artists, you definitely influence a lot of the younger generation, because the songs, when they get catchy, char bottle vodka, all of that. So वो मुंह पे चढ़ जाता है, और फिर वो कब activities में और habits में result करता है, you don't know the impact it creates, right? So obviously saying this, it's not personally against any artist or anybody for that matter, but yes, answering your question, does artists do influence a lot of habits in the young generation these days,
Okay, so they have greater responsibility then, Lata. If artists are influencing so much, then the state governments can absolve themselves and they can continue to have excise duties and make money, while artists are not supposed to be singing songs around it.
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword.
Yes.
Artists, obviously they do take responsibility, and now, when they show smoking on screen, you have a line that says, smoking is,
injurious,
whatever, dangerous for your health, and so on and so forth. But like you said, the excise department, on which every state government heavily depends on, themselves promote alcohol, and they sell it to anybody above the age of 21. And then on the other hand, you're telling celebs, oh, you need to be responsible and tell, people not to drink. I think, yes, they should have said, celebrities should say, please tell the youth, say no to drugs and so on. That, I think, is more impactful than telling celebrities, don't do this, don't sing about this, or don't portray this. There are films about alcoholism and, drugs as well that one gets to see. Does that mean that they're automatically promoting the culture? No, obviously not. They just reflect society. So I think the way the issue has been handled, I still have a problem with that.
Okay, so when you say the way it has been handled in terms of the reaction of the state government?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think, how can you ban, one particular artist and hold him responsible for the entire country, for the entire nation? It just seems ridiculous. You can request him. That's a different thing. But going to court and issuing a ban seems to be going to great lengths to achieve what at the end of the day? At the end of the day, you're still selling alcohol. People are still out there. People are still listening to his songs. He's still going to be extremely popular, and you've achieved nothing and just created a controversy. Instead, you could have used him, gotten him on board to say, hey, listen, say no to drugs, don't drink excessively, and things like that, and put out a positive message is what I think.
Okay. So did the Telangana government get its messaging wrong, Mayank?
No, absolutely. I think eventually the point is this, right? It's not like the state in general or the government in this nation in general has not responded to the menace adequately. I mean, they have. For instance, liquor advertising is banned in India, right? Of course, there is surrogate advertising that happens alongside, but that's a call that they took. Despite that, is drinking a part of Hyderabad's culture, forget about anywhere else. Is it part of Hyderabad's nightlife? Hell yeah. Have you hung out in Hyderabad in the night? It's part of the entertainment of a particular society. You can have issues with the excesses of it. And I think I completely agree with Lata. If that is an issue, then you can use these artists who have such amazing following to issue public service messages about saying no to drugs.
One argument can be, Mayank, that art should be free from moral constraints, and that it invariably reflects aspects of diverse experiences. It's about human experiences. And Diljit Dosanjh, who is a Punjabi singer, is talking about a society where consumption is commonplace.
Absolutely. I think whether you like it or not, no matter how hard you try and how many legal cases you put on people, art will inevitably end up reflecting the society we live in. Is liquor consumption huge in Punjab? Hell yeah. Is it going to show up in music or in the movies that reflect that society itself? I mean, look at Bollywood. So much of Bollywood is reflective of Punjabi culture as well. These are, of course, lots of them are migrants, okay, but it's very much part of the drinking is very much part of the Punjabi culture, and has always shown in the movies, and sometimes in ways where it seems odd too. Like you have songs like "Main alcoholic hu," but people laugh at it, and that's how it needs to be seen. And is there a larger problem? Yes. Is this the way to address it? Hell no.
Okay, but can this be seen actually as glamorization of alcohol?
If it is, it is. You know what I mean? And there are ways to reverse it, to curb it, and that is through public service messaging, which is very different from art. Art will reflect the society we live in. There's nothing we can do about it.
Okay, I have just enough time for final comments from everyone. Mayank, continue to be with us. Gurashish, coming to you. When artists like you, singers like you, actually get the lyrics and start working on it, you are doing what in terms of lyrics? It is reflection of the society where we live in, or is there too much of a moral responsibility and a moral burden as well? Because you realize that all of you are popular singers, followed by millions, and most of these are the young generation which gets inspired, and they'll take your word as gospel truth. I mean, I'm saying that in a matter of satire, please. Yes, go ahead.
Right. See, I mean, talking about art in general, honestly, it's not just about the reflection of society, I believe, but also what an artist feels personally. If an artist is going through a bad phase, he'll talk about sad songs. He'll make a sad song. I'm actually a singer-songwriter myself, so I write about what I feel. What I feel about life, what I derive from emotions, and when I meet people, when I learn about life, I write about that. So again, concluding my statement here, as I said, that youth is misguided into the wrong directions. I found this right direction at the age of 20. I met my mentor, Master G, who's now a motivational life guide to so many youngsters. He's taking people out of depression and anxiety and addictive substances. So as Mayank also clearly said, public addressal of such activities and, inspiring the youth to rather learn something new other than, saying that alcohol ban karo, wo apne aap moderation mein aayega if you end up learning more about life. You wouldn't be dependent on something.
Tell me. Since you are a singer, I want to understand again from you. Gurashish, so if you say that, excessive drinking is bad, you think actually the youth will understand that and they'll stop drinking?
No, I totally believe that, even when you have to teach somebody something, you need to tell them, you need to show them something better than what they are used to having, right? You can't tell somebody not to do something, right? So you have to show them a better way of life rather than imposing something. I think that's the way I have learned things. Whenever my mother said, "Ye na karo," wo hum sabse pehle karte the, right? Teacher bolte the, "Yahan mat jao," wo sabse pehle. So when there is a curiosity, when there is a ban on something, when it's said that, something is not good, rather, you have to promote the positivity of life, like, how to handle life without getting addicted to the substances. And because वो 4-5 घंटे 6 घंटे के high के बाद आपकी problems तो solve नहीं होने वाली है, right? So this is one of the reasons why I've also stepped out of my own career, took out conscious time to, as I mentioned, promote some teachings of Master Ji, going to schools, colleges, and yes, we are seeing a change in the youth today. We've addressed more than, I think, 2,000 students in the last 2 weeks as a part of his mission 800 crore Master Ji's, So, yeah, I mean, this is a good time to tell.
At the end of the
share
day,
my heart.
an entertainer has just the responsibility of giving great entertainment. He doesn't have moral responsibility. That's my stand. But yes, Lata, go ahead, and then I'll give the last word to Mayank.
So I think, the funny thing is when we talk about celebrities influencing the youth, Diljit himself doesn't drink. Right. And he's very clear about that. He says, I don't touch alcohol. I'm not I don't drink. So I think that sends out a very big message in itself, rather than saying, oh, he's singing about alcoholism or, drinking, and therefore everybody's going to pick up a bottle. The fact that one of their own idols is not a drinker, doesn't touch alcohol, I think that is a big influence in itself. So,
yeah, so it should end at his songs and his words rather than, making it and getting into an unnecessary space and clearly an unnecessary controversy. Mayank, entertainers, should they have a moral responsibility, and should that be seen as a moral authority? Who is a moral authority here?
Well, it depends on what we are imposing our morality towards, right? And I think alcohol can be a contentious debate as well. I mean, it can be a responsible pleasure for lots of people. It can be a societal taboo in certain societies too. In India, we're a bit in the middle so far as drinking is concerned. So far as I know, India is not a prohibition country. There are a couple of states which are prohibition states, including Gujarat, where Diljit was performing. I think I found it odd they picked Diljit of all the people. I mean, if you really want to go and look at the representation of alcohol in our popular culture, you'll have to start with Ghalib first. I think some of the best poetry on drinking has been written by Ghalib. So what are you going to erase Ghalib to start with? And, so, I mean, one has to be a little lighthearted about these things too. We can't take everything so seriously. And every drinker is not an alcoholic, and every alcoholic does not suffer from liver cirrhosis. So, basically we need to address exactly what we're talking about and what the issue is. In this case, it might just be pure entertainment and fun. Are people going to Diljit's concert after pre-gaming and having drinks with their friends and then going? Hell yeah. So that's what it is. And that's what he's singing about as well.
Yeah, I think it should be about pure entertainment here. And the larger question about cultural representation, artistic freedom, and social responsibilities of celebrities is something that we have taken up on the show tonight. So thank you so much for joining us, Mayank, Lata, and Gurashish Singh. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well at a global level.
NDTV World Summit was more than just a conversation. It was a confluence of ideas poised to shape our global future.
stop the corruption. Corruption first, on the agenda and nation first.
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं.
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही. त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा महाराष्ट्रवाद.
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त आहेत. मग का भरत नाही? राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे.
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं की त्यांच्याच खिशातले पैसे चालले. शेतकऱ्यांना मोफत वीज देण्याचं काम आपल्या सरकारने सुरू केलं.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con. NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
कैसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए.
In the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं.
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
The last elections of 2024. It's the battle for India's economic heart.
Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom on the program tonight. On a day when the Supreme Court read out the Riot Act on the need to control air pollution, we bring you a data-driven reality check on today's farm fires in Punjab, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. As the Supreme Court made their observations, farm fires continued unabated. That's right. The air you choked on in New Delhi today, on the year's worst day of air pollution, was perhaps being driven by even more farm fires in Punjab. I'll be joined by the NASA scientist Hiren Jetwa, whose detailed analysis on this program a couple of days back on how farmers in Punjab may be burning agricultural stubble when satellites are not watching created headlines. Today, we discuss more data points to back this assertion. He joins us, does Hiren, and then we seek answers from the pollution control authorities in Punjab. Now, at the very onset of this program, we want to make it clear that farm fires are not just limited to Punjab. We will show you how fires in Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh add to the mess that we are in, and it is a real mess. Next up on the show at about 1:30, our digital debate. We delve into the hot button issue of whether social media platforms should compensate news organizations for the content that they host. As digital platforms continue to dominate how we consume news, the question arises, should these tech giants pay for the journalism they benefit from? On one side, news outlets argue that their content drives traffic and engagement on social media, suggesting a financial obligation for platforms like X and others. Conversely, social media companies claim that they provide a free avenue for news dissemination, which benefits media outlets through increased visibility. We'll be debating this, but that's at 1:30. First, the headlines at this hour. Cash, liquor, freebies, all seized in poll-bound states by the Election Commission worth 1,000 crores, 660 crores in Mumbai alone, 7 times more seizures than in 2019. Home Minister Amit Shah holds a high-level meeting on the Manipur unrest today. A central team will visit, while 50 companies of central forces will be deployed. The Prime Minister is in Brazil for the G20 summit, where he'll engage in several key bilaterals. The meeting of top leaders of the world takes place ahead of the Trump presidency, which is expected to change key US policies. All right, what we're going to do now is bring you on the big screen the very latest data-driven analysis of the farm fire situation across states. It comes on a day where the air quality index in Delhi in places touched 500. It was in fact much more depending on what sensor that you actually looked at. People in the National Capital Region were literally choking on a day in which the Supreme Court of India read the Delhi government the Riot Act, saying that they needed to have ensured that more steps were taken sooner to protect people. So let's bring out a quick look now at the first set of images. And what you're going to be taking a look at right now is, let's bring up the graphics if we can. We'll have these questions in a little while from now. But let's bring up the graphics to actually bring our viewers details of what this is all about. Now, what we're going to do is make the point, and you're going to see it over here, and we're going to zoom into these images as well, is in the last couple of days, the number of farm fires in Punjab has actually been significant. As we've been choking, people are aware of it. We see the smog all around. Farm fires have been going up. This is what the situation on the 15th of November was, just a couple of days back. Let's zoom in over here, if we can. The farm fire situation, and each of these red dots that you see on the screen over here represents the farm fires which took place on the 15th of this month. We're going to move on now, and on the 16th it was less over here, the number of red dots that you actually see. And what we can show you here finally is on the 17th of November, yesterday, you can see dozens of red dots. Each red dot over here corresponds to a fire. These were taken by NASA satellites, which usually make an overpass of the Indian subcontinent between 1:30 and 2 in the afternoon. Let's zoom in, please, onto these images so that our viewers can actually see these red dots closely, all right? So this was what took place yesterday in the state of Punjab. Now, I began by saying that we are not going to restrict our conversation to Punjab alone, but it's important that we focus on Punjab, particularly since, as you can see, all the white stuff around is the smog that we continue to breathe. But let's move to the next page. The next page has the situation in another state. Now, this is Madhya Pradesh, and it's not just about Punjab, it's also about MP over the last couple of days. The red areas over here are farm fires. Again, let's zoom into those red areas. Forget about the black band over here. That's an area which the satellite hasn't brought the images together. But the red areas, the sensors are actually detecting the farm fires which have taken place on the 15th of November. Let's move now to the 16th of November in Madhya Pradesh. No, let's go back, please, to the previous page. Let's go back, I'm not done with that, to the previous page. And these are the areas on the 16th of November when farm fires took place. And this is what happened yesterday again. Again, the point being that significant farm fires have taken place in Madhya Pradesh as well. And finally, let's take a look at Uttar Pradesh. And this is what the situation in UP is. Several farm fires in Uttar Pradesh spread out across the state on the 15th of November. They've also been taking place on the 16th of November and finally on the 17th of November as well. Now, this is it's certainly an all-India problem, but it does concern the northern states a lot more. All of this adds to the mess that we see over here across the Indo-Gangetic Plain, that is the smog. What will shock you now is the next set of images, and these are images of today. Now, we've been talking about farmers escaping satellites by actually burning fires post, let us say, 1:30 in the afternoon. We'll be talking about that in a while. But this is the situation today in Punjab. This is the farm fire situation in Punjab. Zoom in on that. Dozens of fires on a day when the Supreme Court was hearing a case where they read the Riot Act, as I said, and they said that the Delhi government needs to do a lot more to protect people. And there were dozens of fires which were happening even then. These are undisputed. This is the traditional NASA satellites which nobody disputes when they detect these farm fires, right? How bad was this? In just the next few minutes, we'll be bringing you an exact count of the number of fires in Punjab today. This was the situation in Madhya Pradesh, several parts of the northeast of Madhya Pradesh, the center east of Madhya Pradesh as well, right? Each one of these dots representing farm fires. And finally, in Uttar Pradesh, various parts of the state towards the southwest of Uttar Pradesh, you can see fires in this entire belt which took place. Let's now turn our attention to the next set of graphics. And this actually explains what the NASA scientist Hiren Jetwa, who joins us in a few moments, has been saying quite clearly. That while we have actually been talking about the farm fires, you saw all the red dots, and you've been hearing what the Punjab government, for example, has been saying, that these are far less than what has been the case in the years in the past. In fact, that assertion may not necessarily be true, because the data that he's been looking at comes from a different set of satellites, right? And that different set of, and the satellite that he's talking about, a South Korean satellite, actually picks up fires after 1:30 to 2 p.m. Now, why is 1:30 to 2 p.m. important? I'll explain. If we take a look at this particular graph, this is time. So it's 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1300 hours, which is 1 p.m., right? 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Tilt down a little bit so that we can actually see the time reference that I'm talking about. And then 4 p.m. and finally 5 p.m., right? The NASA satellites operate in this band that you see over here. In this band that you see over here between about 1:30 and 2 p.m. So they pick up fires at this stage. The fires could have started earlier, but they tend to pick up the fires. So zoom out on this so that we can see this entire band. This is what we actually see. And this is what we also saw in the images a little while earlier on. But if you take a look at this red line, and this red line marks the 1st of November 2024 as an example. Zoom out of this image if we can, so that I can explain to our viewers what happens after 1:30 p.m. Till about 1:30 p.m. on this particular day, the number of farm fires in Punjab appears to be relatively under control, not very many, but shortly after the satellite passes over, the farm fires go right up. It goes right up until 5 p.m. on this particular day. When you compare it with 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019, you can see that the post 2 p.m. number of farm fires is much, much higher. And this is not being detected. Until now, it has not been detected. Therefore, the point that's being made is this. The point that's being made is this, that the farm fires after 2 p.m. are the ones that needed to be added onto the overall count of fires, because just referring to the earlier fires is not enough. It is entirely inaccurate. Let's bring you another look at the next graphic. And the next graphic over here is a visual representation of what I'm talking about. A couple of dates over here, the 1st of November, 3rd of November, 5th and the 7th. This is 1 p.m. and that is 2 p.m. This particular band, if we were to make a band over here, that is when typically the NASA satellites operate. Zoom out over here, yeah. So this is when the NASA satellites operate. This is when they pick up farm fires typically. But if you base your analysis on the advanced meteorological imager of the GK2A satellite, which is a South Korean satellite, then look at 3 p.m., a number of fires on each of these days, typically not picked up, a number of fires on several days not picked up, right? This is the first, 3rd, 5th and 7th of November. Finally, over here, several farm fires that you can see, these have not been picked up. Now, when one talks about pollution load, right, it's not just fires before 1:30, it is obviously all of these fires as well, which is why the point that's being made by the NASA scientist Hiren Jetwa is that, look, we need to be absolutely clear. We are not talking or getting an accurate number of the count of farm fires in Punjab. Why? Principally because the aerosol load in the atmosphere, the pollutant load in the atmosphere remains very high. So Hiren Jetwa, research scientists at the USTRA and the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, joins us now. He's come out with a lot of this data. He's among the foremost scientists looking at this. He does it for a living. Thanks very much, Hiren, for being with us. So let me ask you this, Hiren. My first question to you, and it's a basic one. Are only a fraction of farm fires, right? Are only a fraction of farm fires being reported in Punjab? That's question number one.
Oh, that's true. Yes. We are not capturing the totality of the fire activities from early morning to late afternoon. Because we are always relying on the traditional NASA and NOAA satellites to count the fire incidences over Punjab, Haryana, UP, and so on. And all those satellites, actually there are two satellites overpassing the region between 1:30 to 2 p.m. as you have already described. So if you are just looking at those satellite data, we are just capturing a part of the picture, but not the whole picture. And the geostationary satellite data from the Korean satellite sensor, those data have shown us that there are more fire activities now concentrated during 4 and 5 p.m. and even beyond that also, that we are not accounting for in any of these calculations.
Hiren, my next question, how many farm fires were there today?
Okay, very good question. Today, when I checked this, again, our satellite maps overlaid with those fire counts today morning, I was surprised that in this whole season, beginning from October till now, This is the first time I have seen a massive increase in the fire incidences in Punjab. It's about 1,000 fire incidences just in Punjab alone only. And this time, today only those fires are seen by the NASA satellite. That means that the fires are now taking place between like 12 to 1 to 2 p.m. in that time window when the satellites pass over the region. This is the first time I have seen in this season. But before today, in the last 2 weeks, I think the most fires were concentrated during the late afternoon.
Hiren, let me try and understand this. Are you saying that today, on a day when the Supreme Court was hearing this case, we are seeing the largest number of farm fire incidents in Punjab of the year?
Yes, 100%.
So even more than last year, because much more than last year?
If you look at the NASA satellite, yes.
Okay.
Yes, around that 130.
So the largest number of farm fires, and did you say it was approximately 1,000 fire incidents in Punjab according to your calculation?
Yes.
So now, Hiren, since we're trying to understand this in very simple terms, how do you measure or how do you quantify the number of farm fires? Because as an amateur looking at that data, I would actually count manually, but that's not the right way of doing it. How do you count the number of farm fires?
Well, basically, this satellite data, it comes, when you talk about this NASA NOVA Suomi NPP satellite with the VS instrument, it detects this fire hotspots at 375 meter resolution. So if within that 375 meter square area, if you have one fire, the satellite can detect it. Okay, so that's what the satellite is providing in their data set. And just using our softwares and using the boundaries of the different states, we just count there are how many of those fire hotspots falling onto that region. It's just simple counting procedure.
Okay.
Within certain boundaries.
Got it. Now let's move to the other part of what you've been saying, that this is only one part of the fires. What takes place after 2 p.m. no one has been typically measuring because they aren't looking at the right sensors. And the right sensor, according to you, comes from sensors deployed on a South Korean satellite. Therefore, my question is, are farmers avoiding satellite detection of farm fires in Punjab?
I'm not sure what is the reason why there is a delay, why there is a shift in the peak burning hour from 1:30 to 2 p.m., which used to be the case before 2021. Actually, I started seeing this beginning in 2022, then 2023 last year, and this year too. This year it is more pronounced that the fire activities are more concentrated during the late afternoon hours. One reason could be the better burning condition because of lower relative humidity. But then why farmers used to burn this crop residue around noontime, around 2 p.m. during earlier years? Why they have changed in last 3 years, particularly this year? I don't have the exact answer for that. We need some ground surveys, some ground truthing in that region. In Punjab, talk to farmers and see what answers they give us.
Okay.
But otherwise, what we just see from the satellite, there is no doubt about that there is clear shift in the burning pattern. Except today, I have seen the first time is massive increase in the fire incidences around noon time. That's why the NASA satellite was able to capture this about 1,000 fire hotspots in Punjab alone.
Okay. Next question. Have farmers burned paddy in afternoons earlier in previous years?
Previous years, okay. If you look, so we looked at the satellite data beginning 2002. And most fires took place during this 1 to 2 p.m. time window. There were fires even before and after that also that we were not detecting. But since the majority of the fires were taking place in that time window where satellite took those pictures, that was enough for us to gauge the overall, the totality of the fires.
Okay.
And everyone in India, here in US also, we all agencies in India, also ISRO, IMD and other research, they relied on the NASA and NOAA satellites, including myself. And I was under delusion since last 2 to 3 years that my predictions were coming much higher than the actual fire count. And I was actually happy to see that failure, because that means that there is some action is being taken over the ground to reduce the residue burning. But this year I'm disappointed that that's not the case. The fires are actually not going down. Perhaps this year we have seen increase in the fire counts.
Okay.
If you look at the whole day from morning to evening, normally in morning hours farmers don't burn because of the lower relative humidity. There's more moisture in the atmosphere. So the best time for the farmers to burn is noon and afternoon.
Right. Next question, Hiren. Has the overall farm fire pollution load been less this year or more this year? This is important because does the number of farm fires necessarily correspond with the amount of pollutant in the air?
No, the amount of pollution load over the whole IGP region, including in Pakistan and Punjab and Haryana and the whole UP, in last 2 weeks, the pollution load has increased, and actually those numbers are so high that I haven't seen in last 1 decade. If you look at what we call the aerosol loading retrievals from that basically measures this pollution in the whole entire column from surface to wherever the top of the aerosol layer is. So we looked at this 20 years of data. I haven't seen such increase in the aerosol loading in this last 2 weeks, like November, in the previous years. And only this year we are seeing the increase. And look at the PM 2.5 data also in Delhi, in elsewhere. In Delhi, just today morning, I looked at the PM 2.5 at the US Embassy. It was about 1,000 microgram per meter cube, which is crazily high number.
Yeah.
So there is no doubt that the aerosol load is actually this last 2 to 3 weeks, it has increased. And that was unprecedented in the satellite record. So it's hard for me to believe that the fires have gone down. No. This is the only major giant source of the pollution in this season right now.
Right. Hiren, a couple of more questions before I bring in my panel. Is farm stubble burning mostly over in India? And this is a question we are all asking because we want to know whether it's going to continue polluting the atmosphere because we want to breathe.
Can you just repeat that question? I didn't get
Is farm stubble burning, right, mostly over in India?
Mostly over in terms of time? Or?
In terms of the area.
Area.
Yeah. Will this continue? Is there more stubble to be burnt in farms?
It is continue. Well, it will continue till the end of November. That's a typical burning period. It starts from the first week of October and then ends in November, towards the end of the November. By that time, the farmers clear the land, they prepare the land for the next crop, which is wheat in Punjab and Haryana, and even some part of UP too.
Sure.
But it will continue for next 2 weeks, I would say. By this time, if you look at the previous year's data, the fire should have gone down. It should be on a declining curve. Okay, the peak is somewhere in the first week of November. But now we are seeing, since last 3 days, we are seeing increase in the fire counts from about 200 on November 16th to 500 on November 17th, and today, November 18th, is about 1,000. So it's actually increasing. Maybe this, I think that one of the reasons could be the very foggy days, very humid days that region experienced in the last few days that did not favor the burning condition.
Sure.
So farmer delayed that burning to yesterday, today, and maybe tomorrow.
Okay. Here in my next question, why aren't these pollutants going away? Is it because the pollutant load is constant or is increasing, or is it because of weather conditions which prevent the dispersal of these pollutants?
Yes, the temperature too, because if you look at this foggy condition, first it was observed over Lahore and Pakistan, the Punjab province of Pakistan. Right now that foggy condition has moved eastward, like now over northern India. So the temperatures are now more colder. That favors the temperature inversion. It traps the pollutants near the surface. So yes, meteorology is always playing a role. But we have this very huge source of the biomass burning. in the region. Plus, the winds are generally northwesterly.
Yes.
So you showed in the beginning of this program the fires in other states too. Yes, there are fires in Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. But looking at the winds, Delhi is mostly affected by the fires in Haryana and Punjab. Since the fires in Haryana are very less this year, so it's mostly Punjab. The fires in MP, they are already affecting the air quality in Maharashtra and in Mumbai. Because I heard from some of my sources today morning in Mumbai, the air quality is very bad. It's not because of the local sources of pollution in Mumbai, but that's because of the farm fires in Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh.
Okay. Now, what I'd like to do at this stage, Hiren, is to bring in the rest of our panel. I'm joined by Professor Adarshpal Vig, Chairperson of the Punjab Pollution Control Board, Dr. Abhishek Kar, Senior Program Lead at CEEW, Dr. Gufran Beg, Founder Director of SAFAR, which is a system of air quality and weather forecasting research, Anmol Pawar of the Aam Aadmi Party, Harish Khurana of the BJP. Professor Adarshpal Vig, the data which Hiren has compiled for today indicates approximately 1,000 farm fire incidents in Punjab alone on a day when this was being heard in the Supreme Court. How would you respond to that, sir?
Good evening, everyone. I am audible. So today's data shows that we have recorded 1,251, to be very precise, which could be a day's largest in the whole season. But if you see the total count on the similar days till today from the past years, specifically in 23, it was 33,719. So about 70% decrease. And if you go to 2022, it was 48,000 some hundreds. So this is a very clear-cut change, and it has been throughout the previous days. This is the only day where this has crossed a kind of 1,000 mark. But previously, it was in some days like 500, or rather on 8th of November, it was 730.
Got it.
So this is a variable.
So your number and Hiren's number on this are more or less almost identical. But Professor Vig, my next question to you, sir. Why is it that you are not counting farm fires which take place after 2 p.m.?
So nothing like this. I have been telling you the data of previous 3 years, and we have been using the same mechanisms for almost 4 or 5 years. That is through Punjab Remote Sensing Center, which is situated at Ludhiana University campus, and they are taking the data through ISRO or NASA. So I suppose this is what I know as a educationist or scientist. They can be more elaborated by the Punjab Remote Sensing Center. They take a thermal images. So thermal images is not a photograph of the burning field.
No, sir. We are talking only about thermal images.
Heat does not stay for only 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or like they may stay for hours. And it is a huge, if you count one field or one, as Hiren was telling, it is 375 meters area which we take. So I suppose this kind of, and there are more than 2 or more satellites capturing as per their manuals, and they do the filtering. Sometimes otherwise the fires from the city area can also be counted. So they are all doing filters, and rather this is the same field of Hiren and the Punjab Remote Sensing Center. But I am wondering why this year this kind of thought process has arisen out of means.
All right, let's get an answer from Hiren.
Verified.
Professor Vig disputes the numbers at 2 p.m. Based on what he has said, Hiren, how would you respond?
Yeah, so we agree on, okay, again, if we use the NASA NOAA satellite, which I think ISRO is also reporting the same data on the Bhuvan web portal, the same fire data that NASA is releasing, that same data that I'm using other. Okay, if you look at that time window, of course, the fires are on a downtrending curve, right, since 2022, since last 3 years. But there are also fires occurring after that. And that can be clearly seen in the in the geostationary satellite. Thanks, we have one nice satellite launched by South Korea. It actually the record began in 2019, which shows a clear increase in the shortwave infrared signal, 3.8 to 4 micron, which is the very prime channel, prime wavelength to look at the fires. Okay, and that data clearly showed, as I posted on the X, all those maps, that there's a clear increase in the fire incidences in the late afternoon, 4 and 5 p.m. That we are not counting. We are not counting for, but we can see that the effect of those late afternoon fires in the aerosol load in the PM 2.5 next day in Delhi.
That's a key point. And in fact,
region.
Professor Vig, if the number of fires was coming down, as you say, and I'm talking about the overall number of fires, shouldn't the aerosol loading in the atmosphere also come down?
So practically we are not measuring the aerosol loads. So that way I cannot comment on that. We are only counting these figures through PRSC, as I told you. But I suppose along with the stubble burning, there are other climatic factors and the air pollution sources already existing, like vehicular pollution, road and dust, industrial pollution. So they are already there. So maybe those, as Hiren was also mentioning, that a kind of change from summer to winter, which, as your question was like that, they are not being dissipated out of the atmosphere. They remain condensed. So that kind of accumulation kind of thing may be happening. So I'm not that way that it is only, it is the only by chance that during the change of summer to winter, the burning are also coincide with the October and November months. So
Hiren, would you like to
one
respond to
additional
that?
factor of air pollution, but all other air polluting factors, they remain throughout same. Only this environmental conditions, they are changed. So that way maybe due to other low
Other
winds
factors.
or
So Hiren, Professor
yeah.
Wig says it may not necessarily be farm fires. How would you respond to that?
Okay, if you look at the other sources of pollution there, the industry, the vehicular emissions, power plant and so on, but those sources of emissions are more or less constant throughout the year, right? If we agree on that point, that more or less those sources are constant, then why don't we see the increase in the pollution load, the PM 2.5 during the other season? Why only during this crop burning period when we see the spike in the pollution? So there is always contribution. If you look at the cities like Delhi, right? It's very crowded with lots of industries and vehicles. So of course there is always some local contribution of the local factors. But on top of that, we have very giant source of pollution, which is crop burning in this season only. Okay, during October and November. So that, I think that's the only one which is left out to, without that reason, we cannot explain.
All right.
No one can explain the rise in the pollution in the entire region.
Got it.
And these are very evident from the satellite images. We just see normal people who are not that educated or not very expert in this field. They can see that there is a clear increase in the aerosol loading over the entire IGP.
Okay. Professor Wig, last word to you before I go across to my other panelists. Yes.
Sure. I am telling that this is again because of the change from summer to winter. Why we are not counting these kind of things? The pollution sources were earlier same as he told, only stubble has added. Earlier they were blown out. There were a lot of winds coming. The summer season is a different behavior. The winter season is an altogether different behavior. So that's why I think they are not going out of the atmosphere. The low temperature, the condensation kind of practices. So they, I think, make it more visible to everyone as well as more effective to the health issues. So that's why only stubble, which was not earlier, that has been linked. So it is not that the last straw on the camel is like only the stubble is the responsible. So those pollution remains same, and that's why only the change of season is additional factor.
All right.
And which is obvious that winter means anything cannot. Winter means condensation. Winter means itself a kind of accumulating all those things which were existing earlier. So they are not going out of the atmosphere. I think this is the main, I cannot say as a culprit, it can be a main reason. So how we can tackle that kind of things, or we can remove
All
the
right,
previous
Professor Vig, I take your
That is
point, and
important.
we'll try and get others in as well. But just as a humble submission, why don't you or the government or different agencies also access the data which Hiren has been putting out almost every other day, and access data from the South Korean satellite and the sensors on board, which makes a pass every 10 odd minutes, and which in the particular micron range that it operates is able to accurately pick up farm fires at a particular time period? Why don't you use the same data and accept it or dismiss it?
Then why not? Of course, this question has arisen through few days earlier only. And only for this year, I am surprised to know that. Now I have tied up with my agency, Punjab Remote Sensing Center, as well as today Supreme Court has mentioned about the South Korean. So naturally it will be taken care by the, you can say, the scientist who is really working like Hiren and the other people. So we must take some time to
analyze the data. All right, fair enough.
But
It's
let
good
me
news.
add one more thing, that there was one typical question few days earlier, that if a burn incidence is reported in the satellite, our staff went to the physical verification, which is for the fine and other kind of thing. There was no burning found. So how you can answer this? So there was no burning found. So this
But
is
it's not real time. A fire may be out by the time they reached.
Of course, all those factors were taken. They waited for that kind. There was no remnants left of the fire.
After what time, sir?
Those field staff are rather worried, and this data goes up to 50%. So we are also analyzing these kind of things. So it is both way, because this is a technique which is not 100% pure. So pros and cons are there, but I think we should not go like it is only that we are deliberately doing this. Or
No, I'm not saying deliberately. I'm just trying to be entirely scientifically looking.
We must analyze. We must analyze
at this analysis. And
just one point, Vishnu. That's why the total fire counts that I derived today morning, it was 1,000, and the professor has said is about 1,250, right? The difference, because the difference is because of the quality flags that we use. We always use the best quality flag data. There are also detection with lower confidence. So we should always use the data with the moderate to high confidence, not with the low confidence. That's why there are some differences in the fire count statistics.
We are fully committed for that. But whatever facilities are available with our Indian system, we can rely upon those only.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to go across quickly to Dr. Abhishek Kar, Senior Program Lead at CEW. Dr. Kar, how would you actually look at the situation that we face right now? Do you believe it is adequately explained just by the traditional NASA sensors, or do you believe that given the fact that the aerosol content, the pollutant load in the atmosphere is so high, there could be additional stubble burning, and the fact that we've seen so many fire incidents today just goes to show that we are far away from a solution to stubble burning this year?
Right. Thank you, Vishnu. Let me put in some data. CEW had recently done a study of about 1,500 farmers, and we found that out of the farmers who are using the in-situ CRM machines, which came in largely because of significant policy effort by both the state and the central government, nearly half of them are following partial burning. So what happens in the partial burning is they burn it slightly and then they use the machines, and there is both a perception for the farmers that if we partially burn, the machines are going to work better and it is going to be cheaper for them, and there will also be improvement in terms of pest control. Now, once farmers start doing partial burning, and once you see the load of the pollution on the air, you have to understand that there is a need for far more ground truthing of the satellite data to see how differences in partial burning versus complete burning is getting captured in the satellite. So until and unless there is significant efforts, including resources, serious resources put in, we will always be in this uncertainty matrix, because please understand the data that is coming in that data can be interpreted in multiple ways. There are several technical assumptions that are made to analyze the data. So if we think that it's really important to look into the monitoring data, then resources has to be put in. And I think, Vishnu, my larger point here is around resources. Delhi's condition is like whenever the patient goes into an ICU, everyone like comes around and says, "Oh my God, what is happening? We should do something about it." But even on the other days, Delhi is still sick. Please think about it. The WHO standard for a 24-hour safe PM2.5 limit is 15 microgram per meter cube.
Okay, let me just interrupt you, keep the strike rotating for a bit. Harish Khurana, spokesperson of the BJP. The bottom line is this, and this is undisputed, Harish ji, on this program. On a day in which the Supreme Court was hearing this case, we have the highest number of fire counts in Punjab. How would you react to this?
Vishnu, there's a sad part that every time we sit on in October, November, and we discuss the same thing, what is happening since last few years now. But the unfortunate part is that the government, which is ruling in Delhi and Punjab, is always in a denial mode. They never accept what their fault is, and they always blame and do a topic transfer, as usual. What they are doing right now, they without understanding what the root cause is. I mean, listening to both the panelists right now, the root cause of Delhi pollution, talking of particular Delhi only right now, is the 70% of the pollution today is from the three factors. One is stubble burning. Yes, of course, we are discussing on there, but also we should not forget two more factors. One is vehicle emission, and second is dust pollution. I mean, year after year, we blame your stubble, my stubble, but end of the day, if you see the figures, Punjab stubble burning is the most in northern India. I'm not talking about right now Madhya Pradesh, because Madhya Pradesh doesn't affect Delhi right now. But if you talk about northern India, they always blame Haryana government that because of the stubble of Haryana Delhi is polluting. But the figures which is coming in right now,
Haryana is a fraction, right? Haryana is not an issue this year.
40%, 50% of the stubble comes from Punjab only. And this is the same government in Delhi which used to always do a gali when they were not in power in Punjab, that Punjab is the root cause. Now because Punjab, they have the same government in Delhi what they have, they not blame that. Problem is, we should understand the root cause of the pollution is. And as I told you before, 70-80% of the root cause because of the three factors. One, because of vehicle emission. Vehicle emission, we don't have adequate public transport in Delhi. Today in Delhi, out of the population, because of the population, we required 16,000 odd buses in Delhi. Unfortunately, there are only 7,500 buses, which is in Delhi only. So people are using their own two-wheelers and four-wheelers in Delhi, which is increasing the vehicle emission. So we need a public transport to get this vehicle emission out. Point number one. Point number two, dust particle. Remember what this government used to say? Mechanical sweepers, so that dust particles will be taken care of. How many mechanical sweepers are coming? I mean, when the Supreme Court will bash them, they'll say we'll be bringing in. I remember last year also the same kind of bashing was been done by the Honorable Supreme Court. They were promising a few things that we'll do this. Smartly, what they do, LG to mein kaam nahi karne de raha.
All right, okay, Harish ji, you've made lots of points. Anmol, I know you want to respond. Please go ahead. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Vishnu ji, hearing about this debate for last 45 minutes, I recall what the Honorable Supreme Court three-judge bench said in 2021, that farmer bashing have become a fashion today. That stubble burning is not the only root cause. And now we are hearing a new argument that which a common man will find it hard to believe, that the farmers are outsmarting the world's most advanced space agency, NASA. I mean, day before yesterday, Mr. Jetwa was on the panel on your show, wherein he admitted that in past 3 years, in fact, he admitted today itself that in past 3 years, the number of stubble burning incidents have significantly dropped in Punjab by more than 50%, and in last year by more than 77%. And in the states of Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, and Rajasthan, they have increased by more than 77%. We are discussing Punjab a lot, but we are not discussing the fact that from October 15 to November 17, Madhya Pradesh recorded daily incidents of more than 700 recorded incidents on a daily basis. This is their own Indian Agriculture Research Institute data. So, discussing only a part of problem will not provide us any solution. We must acknowledge the fact that every state in North India is grappling with this pollution problem. We must acknowledge that the problem is that India ranks number 3rd in 130 out of 138 most polluted countries in the world. We must acknowledge that 82 most polluted cities of the world are in India. We must acknowledge that despite letters written by the Honorable Delhi Environment Minister, Mr. Gopal Rai, the Central Environmental Minister, Mr. Bhupendra Yadav, did not even respond to a single letter. We must acknowledge the fact that the Bharatiya Janata Party, instead of cooperating the Delhi government and calling a meeting of all other state governments to work collectively to resolve this problem, to fight this problem, with which the elderly and the children are grappling, they are facing breathing difficulties. Instead of cooperating, they are cutting the trees in eco-sensitive area in Delhi. More than 1,670 trees were cut.
All right.
And reducing the green cover.
Anmol, you made lots of points. I need to go across to Dr. Gufran Beg as well. Dr. Beg, one of the key points which people really don't understand is which sensor should one look at? How do I know what the actual pollutant load is? For example, I follow the Central Pollution Control Board's Samir sensor, which is restricted to 500. If I go to the US Embassy site, it says we are well over 1,000. How does one measure the PM 2.5 count out there?
Okay, I will make a two, three very pertinent short point. Number one, there is a lot of debate unnecessarily which goes on. When you look at the yearly source of pollution, then transport sector contribute about 40% and all. But then this farm fire, if you talk about percentage in a year, it will come out to be 3%. But that 3% is not important. Important is it gives you the peak where the maximum health impacts are there. And that happens only in 62 days, to be precise on that particular thing. Second point I want to make is that 1,000 fire we are talking about, basically it is nothing. We have observed in 2019 and there is a 5,000, 6,000, 3,000 fire. So what we are talking about? Point here is that it is all the statistical game. VII, HRS, you will see even today also it is 1,200, but you read the Modi's, it is 317. So the point here is that it all depends on 1 kilometer resolution for Modi's. For this VIRS is like this. The best way forward I tend to understand what Dr. Jatwa is telling, but to be very confirm, we don't have to go to Korea for validation. Our even INSET 3D and 3DR satellites are there. The only lacuna in this one is it is a 3 kilometer resolution, but that is a geostationary satellite. Every half an hour you get it on those things.
But if the resolution isn't the same, and if you're looking at 500 or sub 500 meter resolutions on the South Korean satellite, how does it compare?
No. What I'm trying to tell is that you may not get the fire counts, but you can always see whether there is a fire at 4 o'clock or not. See, it is a geostationary satellite, so it is all the time, it is there every half an hour. So knowing this, that farmers are not burning between 11 to 1 and they are burning at 4 or 5 o'clock, that is very easy to find it out. Sure. But I think unfortunately nobody is working on our own, and what Dr. Vij was telling, that is basically that agency always look into the that thing only, NASA satellite only. Now coming to your point, that is very important, which we should understand is that our breakpoints are different than what WHO has told, that 15 microgram per meter cube of PM 2.5 is equivalent to 100 AQI. For us, as per the Indian standard, is a 60 microgram per meter cube is equal to 100 AGI. So is the scaling converting microgram to AQI factor which is concerned, but there are really concerned in our system also, because we put a cap at 500 AQI equivalent PM 2.5 on an hourly basis. That is why you will not even see anything which is touching even 500. Right. Unless all the 24 hours is 500, So that is something which I think we need to, which is not as per the air quality Indian guidelines also, that 8 hourly basis AQI concept never comes.
All right.
But then we are putting a cap at 500. 24 hour you should have to do that.
Got it.
So that the difference is big.
All right. Look, I'm out of time completely on this, but thank you so much, all of you, for having this debate in this respectful manner. We are trying to solve this situation. We all have a right to breathe. We'll take a short break, quickly come back with a little bit more.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the topmost news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
Now, a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president.
Donald triumphs. What does Trump's win mean for America, for the world, for the wars, and for India-US relations? Non-stop coverage on NDTV. Top analysts and voices from the ground. Extensive coverage on NDTV.
We reached an agreement on petroling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the petroleum.
Prime Minister Modi has arrived in Brazil today on the second leg of his three-nation visit, during which he will attend the G20 summit. He posted on his social media handle, he says, "I look forward to the summit deliberations and fruitful talks with various world leaders." In Brazil, he'll attend the 19th G20 summit as a member of the Troika. India is part of the G20 Troika along with Brazil and South Africa. For the first time, President Biden of the United States has given Ukraine the green light to use powerful American long-range weapons for strikes inside Russia. This is expected to escalate the war between Ukraine and Russia. My colleague Uma Shankar Singh sent us this report from Ukraine.
I am in Ukrainian capital Kyiv, and behind me are those Russian tanks and armored vehicles which were destroyed by Ukrainian army during invasion of Kyiv in February-March 2022. The Russia-Ukraine war has dragged now on for 1,000 days, and in the meantime, US President Joe Biden has given Ukraine permission to use long-range missile against Russia. This means that now Ukraine will be able to attack the interior areas of Russia through the Army tactical missile system provided by the US. Ukrainian President Zelensky had been demanding this for a long time, but US was not giving the permission. There was a fear that doing so could further intensify the war. Therefore, for the first 2 years of the war, the US didn't give a permission to Ukraine to use the Army tactical missile system against Russia. In February this year, President Joe Biden decided secretly to give a missile system to Ukraine, and Ukraine received a consignment of these missiles in April. When Zelensky met Joe Biden in Washington last September, he presented the victory plan which he had already presented